latte? Who likes a good latte? I know, I certainly do. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome back to the 2026 NHL trade deadline Shitstravaganza. It's full of shit. There's been a few things that have happened, but mostly it's been very slow, very plodding, very quiet. Let's turn this down a little bit, put on some mood lighting here. What is up, everybody? Welcome, one and all, to the Shitstravaganza. We're here, baby. We're here. We have somehow survived the madness and tribulations of everything. I'm back. Hold on a second here. I have to reload the chat because the chat decided to derp on me. That's wonderful. Wonderful stuff indeed. But as I said, once again, boys, we have some trades happen. The end of an era. A bunch of teams starting to blow it up, and Gino has been Gino. And I am slowly waiting to die on the inside. Am I dead yet? I don't know. Could be. How's everyone doing over there today? Good job, everybody. Thank you for joining me in this random rambling. I expect nothing else. I think we're gonna get a lot of just a lot of fake trades in the background. I'm not hoping for another Eric Branson of the Penguins, but yeah, truly. I mentioned the NHL standings on here because we're looking at buyers and sellers. Tampa Bay, they're buying. They brought back Corey Perry. The Corey Perry Invitational is once again alive. Buffalo's on fucking fire. They looked really good last night against the Penguins, although that might be because Gino, why? You're gonna get suspended for 5 games. I'm gonna be fucking pissed. Islanders lost last night to the Kings. They looked pretty bad. Kings are doing a little of both. They're actually selling because a bunch of their forwards are out. There's that. The Blue Jackets, once again on fire. They're in a playoff spot. Toronto is ass. Senators are kind of back. Panthers are, they're done. Rangers are done. They're looking to trade Vinny Trocheck. Colorado Avalanche still wagging. Dallas has won 10 in a row. And the Wild are still kicking around too. They brought in a few pieces as well. Mainly, let's go over the recent trades that happened. Timothy Liljegren from San Jose Super Wholesale Emporium. San Jose, if you haven't noticed, they've been on a free fall. They've blown a lot of leads as of late. They're kind of in the fringe. Not truly ready to be in a playoff spot yet, so trading off what they can. They might get like a third for him. Liljegren, he's reunited with Rasmus Sandin. And they need a Timothy Liljegren because if we go a little further down, this shocked me when I was about to go to bed last night. John Carlson is going to the Ducks. They could not agree on a contract extension. He's offered 2026 first and a third. Although if Anaheim fails to qualify for that 2026 playoffs, they have the option to retain their 2026 first and transfer their 2027 first to Washington instead. Although they should make the playoffs, so pure rental for Anaheim, but they needed a right-handed shot. That's just how it goes. Nick Delorier, the bane of Chuck Fletcher. If you remember Chuck Fletcher real quick, he had an option to sign Johnny Hockey, God rest his soul. He chose to not trade or not get rid of JVR's contract and sign Nick Delorier instead. And they have been paying the price ever since. Vinny Hinostroza brought in his depth for Florida for future considerations. Future considerations getting a lot of work today and traded to multiple teams. Same as second round picks. The Corey Perry Invitational. Going back to Tampa Bay for a second tour of duty. So here it is. We have an update from Frank Saravalli here. Braden Shen going to the Islanders. Ooh. I mean, if we're looking at Braden Shen's contract real quick. Give me 1 second here. You get to see my computer in all its glory. Braden Shen has 3 years left on a contract at $6.5 million. At 34, that's a bit of a risk, but same thing. Looking at kind of that. Bruins made one small move. They have made one small move, a minor league swap of forwards from Brett Harrison and Jackson Edward for Alexis Gendron and Massimo Rizzo. That is the only move that Boston has made so far. Bobby Brink for David Jiricek. Bobby Brink, as I said, more of the proven product, middle six forward, undersized, but didn't really fit Philly's plans. David Jiricek has, if you look at David Jiricek's stats, has a lot of upside, but as he is not developed. He has no points in 25 games, is minus 15 with Iowa Wild in the AHL. He just has not developed so far. He has the tools to do it, but just so far has not been up to par. Nowhere close. I know he had requested a trade earlier from Columbus, but Columbus has been pretty good at ruining stuff, so yeah, there is that. Nick Foligno. Blackhawks are doing him a favor. They're reuniting him with his brother Marcus Foligno for the playoff push, his playoff depth, future considerations. Once again, getting some work. John Carlson trade, we were over that before. Interesting fact, Buffalo actually tried to trade for a certain Colton Parayko. But Parayko, it was going to be Radim Martka, their first round pick, a top 10, and a first. It would have been actually a great trade for St. Louis, but Parayko said no. He has his no movement clause. He's going to exercise it. His family's entrenched in St. Louis. He didn't want to move. So, that's that. Instead, they get 2 bottom 6 defensive defensemen. And Logan Stanley isn't that good on defense. So it's Luke Shen and Logan Stanley going for Isaac Rosen, who never really had a path forward in Buffalo with all their forward depth. 2027 second and a 2026 fourth round pick. And Jacob Bryson just to make everything work, because Bryson didn't really have a spot. Sam Carrick also going to Buffalo for a 3rd and a 6th forward depth. So not too bad. Carrick's been around for a while. He was in Toronto 10 years ago, which is crazy to think. Connor Garland going to Columbus. Vancouver's kind of dismantling things right now. 2nd and 3rd round pick going to Vancouver the other way. David Perron. He's trying to go for the St. Louis record of 3. This is his 2nd tour of duty in Detroit for a 2026 4th round pick. And in replacement, Warren Fogle, who's in the middle of a contract that's had a really bad year so far. I think he's something like 7 points in that sort of point. So for a 2026 2nd and conditional 3rd round pick swaps. Michael Bunting going to Dallas for a 3rd round pick. Nashville's blowing it up. Nashville's definitely blowing it up. They've had a bunch of trades there. Jack Thompson, former litigious video game lawyer Jack Thompson going for Jet Wu. Maybe this Jack Thompson won't mail gay porn to a judge and get himself disbarred. There is that. Jeff Petrie, once again, it's just a veteran move. Hasn't really done much. He's on the twilight. Doing a solid just for playoff depth for a conditional 2026 7th round pick. If they can do that with Matt Dumba, that would be great. Nick Waugh going to Colorado for a conditional 1st and a conditional 5th. The 2027 first is top 10 protected. Yeah, we're in the world where Nick Waugh's getting a 1st, so there's that. Nick Dowd going to Vegas, so they haven't solved their defense or their goalie issues, but they solved their depth issues, or trying to solve their depth issues. Hasn't really worked out. For Jesper Wickman, a goalie prospect, 3rd and 2nd round picks in 2029. Andrew Mangiapane and a conditional 1st for Colton Dach and Jason Dickinson. Edmonton's still trying to solve their depth issues, and Mangiapane did not work. He did not work in Edmonton. And Mangiapane, they're just dealing with the depth issues right there. Mackenzie Weegar in a big trade. Going for Oli Mata, who didn't really have a spot in Utah. Jonathan Castagna and 3 2nd round picks. It's like that thing you do in NHL where you just spam 2nd round picks or late round picks and just like slowly go up and eventually get them to accept. That's what Utah did here. But Mackenzie Weegar's on a bit of a lengthy contract, and they had to waive his no-trade clause to get it done. So
skip the stress and let Stitch Fix do the shopping. Get styles you love without endless scrolling. Just tell.
I don't care about Stitch Fix. What I care about is a certain Mackenzie Weegar. Maybe he needs to go on Stitch Fix. Maybe he can help that too, because he's going to need help in Utah. He's on year 3 of 8 of a major contract. So with $6.25 million hit, but with the cap going up, this shouldn't be too bad. But once again, and I'm going to say this once again, $6.25 million. $6.25 million. Truly wonderful stuff. Yep, Stitch Fix. How about Jari for Skinner? Well, if Edmonton adds a little bit, they could get him. I mean, they could use someone like a Stuart Skinner right now. Also known as Western Conference Tristan Jari. Why are the Penguins acquiring a goaltender? Arvid Soderblom? Oh, Elmer Soderblom. I thought that was Arvid. My bad. Okay, so Elmer Soderblom. I thought that was Arvid Soderblom. My bad. So it's Elmer Soderblom. He's going to the Penguins for a 3rd round pick. Let's look this up real quick. Because I was looking up Soderblom. I was thinking this Soderblom. Arvid Soderblom. Who is a goalie for the Blackhawks. And I'm like, why are they acquiring a goalie? There are a lot of rumors about that. But Elmer Soderblom. He has upside. He is more or less a depth piece. He hasn't really done much in Detroit right now. But as I said, it's more of a claim. Plus, he's 6'8". That's why you're doing it. Although a 3rd rounder can be pretty rich, I think they're just like looking for another sort of Igor Chinikov situation where he'll catch fire and tap into some of that upside. But you can't teach 6'8". I think that's part of it. A few more trades though. Nick Blankenberg going to Colorado for a 5th round pick. Did well in 3rd pairing minutes over there. Evander Kane is not playing for the Canucks tonight. I think all of Vancouver's going to be cheering. Marchessault and Halla both absent from Preds practice. So that too. Tyler Myers is on the move as 1 more year of his deal left. I keep getting shocked that Tyler Myers is 36. I remember when he was a prospect with the Jets. That was crazy, man. For a 2nd and a 4th, Cole Smith going to Vegas for more depth fixes. Michael McCarron got a 2nd round pick. That's how bonkers this seller's market is. Michael McCarron, who isn't that good? 4th line guy. But yeah, Connor Murphy also got a 2nd round pick too. But Edmonton's trying to fix their defense issues to no avail. But Connor Murphy is he's at least analytically good. He's the best analytical defenseman for the Oilers, but that's about it. But otherwise, we got to the stuff that's already happened. Boris Kachuk going for Roman Schmidt. Brett Kulak for Sam Girard in the 2nd round pick. Girard has another year left on his deal. So I think Colorado is still in play for a few more moves. They've already had Blankenberg. And they've already, I believe, had 1 more deal in the Mokes. But that's about, yeah, Nick Waugh. So they've had Blankenberg and Waugh, and that's why they traded the 2nd round pick. Because they wanted to at least free up space for that. But otherwise, guys, that is back. Yep, that just updated. Elmer Soderblom for a 3rd round pick. But the thing with the Penguins is they actually have a lot of capital, so they have some stuff to work with there. I think they have multiple 3rd round picks. So, yeah, they had 2 3rd round picks. They still have 1 left. They have their own 3rd. So the trade that was made for Soderblom is from the Sharks, which is a pretty high 3rd round pick. I believe this was acquired in, was it the Carlson deal? Yeah, it was the Carlson deal. Huh. As I said, Soderblom is more of a backs up there, but that's just how that goes. Main thing with the Penguins is Evgeny Malkin's probably getting suspended for a number of games. I'm very happy about that. If we look at what happened with a certain Evgeny Malkin, it is a beautiful sight. Evgeny Malkin did a he did an Evgeny Malkin, and it was stuff. Evgeny Malkin's getting a hearing for his high slash. So if you weren't paying attention to a certain Evgeny Malkin over this last sort of situation, here is what happened.
Swing of the stick right up to the head of Dahlin.
Well, Bob, I couldn't agree with you more. There is no major penalty for high sticking. It's a 2, a 4, or a match.
Yep. And there's the hit right there, and that's what Gino does. Gino's temper is like the full moon. It comes out about once a month, and this pretty much derailed the Pens game. And as I said, like if it's that's mainly how that goes, but it is confirmed from Frank Saravalli. Braden Shen has waived his no-trade clause, and the Packers are cutting Rashawn Gary. And Taylor Decker is releasing. They're releasing him upon his release. Yep, contract talks broke down, and he's requesting his release. So there's a lot going on here. Rashawn Gary getting cut. Taylor Decker getting cut. Luke Glendening is still alive in the Big 2026. It's definitely something. And here's your Braden Shen analytics. A little bit higher, veteran playmakers. 2 more years left on his $6.5 million deal. End of an era. Braden Shen's been there for a very, very long time. I believe he got traded for Yuri Laterra about 10 years ago. And Parayko was nearly traded too, but the Blues are just, they're a mess. The Blues are, yeah. Blues be a mess. Jets be a mess too. And you did not see the Elmer Soderblom hit right there. You definitely did not see that. You did not see that. Yep, and Q, I did see that. Chris Johnson is being traded. Timothy Liljegren is going to the Capitals. Matthew Joseph signed with the Kings. I know he got cut from Ottawa, but here's the thing with the Kings. If you look at their injury report, they've lost Joel Armia for the season. They've lost Kevin Fiala for the season. And I believe they've lost another guy as well. I'm trying to think what else. Kuzmenko. All 3 of these guys are out, and they've lost them in the span of 15 days. So they just need bodies. Plus, as you have to remember, Warren Fogel's on the way out. Corey Perry's on the way out. So they have that. And they just need pieces there. And the Kings are at the point where, okay, they didn't look super serious. They didn't do well. They just fired their head coach. And that's the problem. And especially since the Olympic break, you had that long skid, which kind of continued on to the Olympic break. But they did beat New York last night. They kind of see the writing on the wall. I think this might be the end for Luc Robitaille there. So you have to consider that. But I want to see what this return is for Braden Shen. So far, probably the biggest deal of the day. Braden Shen going to the New York Islanders. Hey, the Kings not only have Cody Ceci, they also have Joel Edmondson and Brian Dumoulin. Hey, gotta get that big old Canadian grit right there. Edmonton vassal states, baby. They're gonna acquire a certain Evander Kane and keep it going. The Winter Paralympics opener. Ooh, I didn't realize the Paralympics was going on right now. But that's mainly how that goes. Stammer gets moved. Well, bag of groceries, here's the question. No movement clauses are going to be the issue there. With Nashville, they're blowing it up. I know they're looking at moving Holla and Marchessault too, but Marchessault you're going to be trading at depressed value. Brady Shea has negative value, especially with that contract. Both Marchessault and Shea have not done well this year. It's been pretty gnarly. And bag of groceries, Nashville needed to. They've needed to for a couple of years. I think with Trotz stepping down these last couple of years, it's really shown they're nowhere close. I think it's high time. Which means that if Ryan O'Reilly and Philip Forsberg go, it'll probably be in the offseason. Atlantic Coast Joey, I'm surprised Jason Tatum's returning this early. It's only been 10 months? 10 months since his Achilles tear, which is incredible. Well, Trick, Ken Holland would also be doing it if he didn't have a loaded super team. Like, that team was loaded. And speaking of Ken Holland, I think this is his theme music coming into the background now. Marco4103 for 5 bones. Thank you very much, brother. Morning or afternoon, Treat? Good afternoon, brother. I'm on the East Coast, or Eastern time zone, more Midwest, or fringes of the Midwest, best way to really say it. I'm still shocked the Ducks got Carlson at 10 p.m. Pacific time, but what's your thoughts on the Ducks extending Ryan Poehling? Ryan Poehling is a little ball of energy. He's done really well these last couple years, especially in Philadelphia and Anaheim. The price was a little rich, especially since they had to give up Zegras and he's doing well, but it's not against Poehling. Poehling is really reliable third liner. That's what I really see him as. He didn't really get the points in Pittsburgh, but that whole team was a mess. He was traded with Jeff Petrie and did not go well. I don't think for anybody involved, especially Hextall and Burke, who immediately got fired after the fact. It was definitely definitely along the lines. But we have about 35 minutes left in this trade deadline. At 3 o'clock Eastern is when the phones stop. It does not mean that trades stop coming in. It is when trades just have to be in the system, and it has to be called in. And then the NHL's old fax machine will work for about an hour or so, and then we just have things that happen. Not much to really say. Diganosis 6985. We're so back. Unlike the Toronto Maple Leafs. Oh, I didn't even realize they lost last night, but Toronto is they're fucking cooked. They are built like a tree-living team, and as Bruce Allen says, the culture is actually damn good. Very, very, very good. Yeah. If you were to tell me back in September, before Sasha got hurt, that Toronto and Florida would be anchoring the bottom of the Atlantic, you would have been hung on coals and rusty wires. It would have been dire. Even with the Leafs losing Mitch Marner. To have it end up like this, they're gonna use the Berube as a scapegoat, but no head coach was fixing that. And Florida, they're just too banged up. And Bobrovsky's apparently on the way out too, and he just has not been good either. I wonder if Bobrovsky goes to Carolina for Freddie. Man, that would definitely be something. Sorry, throat's a little dry. But that's just how that goes. Nothing much, huh? They're talking about 2025 trade season as a GOAT. So, yep, David Pagnotta. The Leafs are apparently finalizing a trade involving Bobby McMahon, who is a free UFA at the end of the year. Has done relatively solid work. Solid story for McMahon, too. He's come in as an undrafted free agent, came out of Colgate, and built himself up into a decent middle six forward. So, you might get a second round pick for him. I doubt you'll get a first, but as I said, good story. Ground his way up from the AJHL, Colgate, ECHL for a little bit. Might be more of a Kyle Dubas find, if we're being honest, but... Yep, it's showing the update right now. Elmer Soderblom to Pittsburgh for a 2026 third. He's big. He's 6'8". 6'8". Come on, man. Yep, and here's the confirm. Yep, we have a few claims right now. Florida reclaims Cole Reinhardt. I think this is actually, sorry, I'm thinking of somebody else. But Cole Reinhardt goes to Florida. Curtis Douglas, the big physical specimen, 6'8", is claimed by Vancouver for depth. And Luke Glendening is going to Philadelphia. Definitely so. Florida's just claiming Sam Reinhart. That's hilarious. Yeah, I don't know if you're true or not, but saying you're not getting Ben Kendall. Have fun with that. I'm putting it on the following page because it's you get some weird shit here. Yep, Kevin Weeks closing in on Braden Shen. I want to see this return, man, because it just comes back to the idea. Matthew Joseph is signed for LA. He played for DJ Smith. Nothing too crazy there. Okay, so here it is. Your update is to be determined, and it's we don't know in the conditions. It's a first and a third. But we're still waiting on everything finalizing. But that's just mainly how it goes. First, third, and a prospect. Tree, I should leak my DMs. Yeah, it's going to be a lot of thirst traps, man. A lot of OnlyFans models are on there. I mean, maybe I should. Maybe I should. Droopy Claus, did you see the JFresh tweet? No, I did not. But I'll have to take a look for it in a second. Return for Shen is up, and the Leafs had so many opportunities. Yep, and they made it to 1 Game 7 in the second round, and they got their ass beat. Lovely. Well, NQ Productions, Janmark didn't really do all that much this year. Janmark had his moments, but if I can find Janmark's stats real quick. And Janmark has been in the league for a long time, too. I remember when he was a prospect being traded for, I believe, Eric Cole back in the day. Yep, he was traded for Eric Cole. For Vili Saarjärvi and Matthias Backman. And Eric Cole only played like 6 games for Detroit that year. And he has kind of lingered around. He's been struggling. The thing with Edmonton has always been their depth. You get Connor, you have Leon, and then a bunch of crap. Just crap. Let me move this here so you can see my beautiful stats. Much better. They've been trying to fix this depth issue for a long time, and Trent Frederick actually scored another goal. That's amazing. You gave this guy 8 years. 8 years for Trent Frederick, and he gets 1 minute a night in the playoffs. Look at this shit. 3 point without no movement clause. You gave him a no movement clause. And then it goes to a modifier. They can't trade him until 2029. Oh my god. What the fuck? It's a 10-team no movement clause, and then it turns into a 20-team no trade clause to Scotty Bowman. For 3 goals. 3 goals for Trent Frederick. And, oh, by the way, you having fun with Tristan Jarry yet? Have fun. Have fun. Have fun with Tristan Jarry, my friends. That's all I'm gonna say. Have all the fun with Tristan Jarry. Tristan Jarry is definitely a fun specimen there. Have fun. Have fun. Where's Stan Bowman? Stan Bowman is I like to think Stan Bowman doesn't exist. I think Scotty's the one calling the shots there. Because it's the only way that makes sense. Oh, we got a big trade. Aiden Thompson going to the Rangers for Derek Pouliot. The former Penguins first-round pick. It's depth option. I'm guessing Pouliot, if they're going to sell off pieces, they need just a placeholder, and that's Derek Pouliot. I didn't realize Derek Pouliot was even with the Rangers. It's crazy to think. Let's go to another super chat. Ian Goff, 5721. As a Bruins fan, does the Sweeneyest do anything? If it's a big move or a splash, I think he does, but otherwise, I think he stands pat. I don't know if they're really at the point of really pushing. If they go all in, I don't know. I truly don't know. Yeah, Derek Pouliot's still around. I couldn't believe it either. I thought he was in Europe. And Deganos6985, thank you for everything, Mr. John Carlson. That's right. John Carlson, in the end of an era, has gone to Anaheim. So, the rumor was Parayko was going to be moving there, but John Carlson, they couldn't agree to a contract, and that's just how it is. Islanders not done. No, the Islanders smell blood. Matthew Schaefer has changed their fortunes. I think they're going to add another piece or two. Yep, it's a first, a third, and a prospect. Drager has informed it. Joey Overstreet, 4431. What's up, brother? Thank you for the support, my man. Saw the world's largest potato. Eating a steak and a baked potato, and now I get to see the trees react to the Avs getting Sidney Crosby. No. Yeah, you're going to deal with Brett Kulak. You're getting Kevin Hayes, and you're going to like it. Kevin Hayes. He's like Sidney Crosby, except anything that makes Sidney Crosby good, he's big and physical. His body's breaking down on it, but who gives a shit? And Bruce Garriock says the Blues are not done either. They'll expect to make another move. Trades are coming in now. 25 minutes until the trade deadline ends, my friends. Instinctive 0 for 5 bones. The Sabres are tied for first in the Atlantic. I repeat, the Sabres are tied for first in the Atlantic. You can see it right here. Sabres tied for first with a 5-game winning streak. We have reached the apocalypse. We truly have. The Sabres back in early December were fucking dog shit. And everything was good. We're like, yeah, Sabres, you know, yeah, that sounds about right. And now it's like, okay, yeah. Yeah. I know I meant Trego, first round pick for Nick Waugh. Yeah, that's how big the market is. I think a lot of teams are going to be balking at that situation now. Who's paying a first round pick, even if it's top 10 protected, and it's going to be a late first for Nick Waugh? And year-old on YouTube, Luigi, what's to blame for the Leafs' failure in this era? The entire organization. I would say it's a combination of being stubborn with the core four. It's a combination of never really finding a true system in place. They kept with pieces for far too long. They never really moved on and filled their depth out. And also the flat cap didn't help matters either. Because you gave Marner Matthews money, Tavares had the big deal, and the problem is in the vacuum, Tavares has been fine, but as I said, they just had too many holes and they kept running into big pieces and they kept choking. So I don't know what to tell you. Kevin Adams. Yep, Kevin Adams with a Y. Hey, he has plenty of time to enjoy those palm trees. I'll just put it that way. And YouTube, the legacy for 5 Canadian. Hey, Tree, do you think Craig Berube still has a job so they can tank to save their conditional #1 pick to Boston? Also, what's the Leafs' #1 problem? The Leafs' #1 problem is they're built like a tree-living team. If you saw what he did in Calgary, he's doing the same shit here. You have size, but you don't have true physicality. You have grit. I mean, you have quote-unquote grit, but you don't have anything that really signifies snarl or tenacity or defending anything. It's a weak-willed team. And the problem is, it's a whole organizational issue, and they're going to need an enema. You have talent, but the problem is the high-end talent can only take you so far. And they're going to keep trying to re-roll the dice instead of realizing, wait, this is a failure. I don't know what to do here. So, yeah. I couldn't tell you. And the worst part is, it's not even the first-round pick. That's going to be the issue. Fraser Mittens looked really good in Boston. And I said it last year. I was shocked they traded Mitten for Carlo. Including that, I didn't even think about the first-round pick because I thought, oh, it's going to be a late first. But Fraser Mitten has done really well. That's the kind of piece that Toronto needs. But YouTube, the legacy, changing your coach isn't going to do a damn thing. Real players are not going to tank. They're probably going to stay fringe top 10. But you're just praying for lottery luck, and I don't think that's going to happen. So, in a really deep draft, you have a top 10 pick going to Boston, and that's worst case scenario. Especially to Boston. So that's just how that is. And Justin Silverman for 10. Yay, Lightning final appearances. Boo, Avs in 6. Hey, Corey Perry Invitational, baby. You got an invitation. That's how it goes. And you're going to repeat for the invitation. Just how that goes. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Nick Delorier occurring on the screen right now. But as I said, it's 2:40. We got 20 minutes for GMs to talk their talk, make their trades, and have the beautiful stuff happen. I want to thank each and every one of you for being here today. We're talking and rambling about the hockey. Well, to Beer Nerd, Weak-Willed also subscribes to the Devils Core. Not just that, they're always hurt. There's your issue with the Devils Core. And Tom Fitzgerald's really mangled shit over the last 2 years. If you look at how many no movement clauses, no trade clauses they have, he gave them out to Jake Allen and Evgeny Dodonov and Connor Brown and Jonathan Kovacevic. He gave them out to everybody. And that's why they part of the reason why they couldn't get Quinn Hughes. They couldn't move and get the cap space for him. I don't think Dawson Mercer plus Simon Nemec, I believe the Nikita Tolopilov, I forget his name. It's a really good Devils goalie prospect in the college ranks. Him and a first. But I don't think that was going to be enough. I think Vancouver wanted something better, and that's how it is. Tom Fitzgerald is going to get insta-canned, and for very good reason. These last 2 years have just been a butchery. You've butchered a window, you have to rebuild again. Well, I mean, you at least have to rebuild, but... Oh, Chuck Fletcher's in the Devils front office? Yeah, that makes sense. That makes a shitload of sense. Chuck Fletcher's in the Devils office? I can see why they went to fucking shit. Must be nice to have your dad be a legendary GM. T. Bernard, Cash Patel allegedly in the doghouse for his Team USA party antics. Jack Hughes is the most powerful man in hockey. Which Jack Hughes? There are multiple Jack Hugheses. But, Cash Patel is a figurehead. Let's be real. The real people doing the work in the CIA are under him. Let's be real. Cash Patel can leave tomorrow and nobody gives a shit. That's just how it goes. I have to go back to where we were in the meantime. Smooth Criminal 12 out of Seattle, Utah, LA, and San Jose. Who do you think takes the 2 wildcard spots in the West? The Pacific's a fucking gong show, but let's be real. Vegas and Edmonton, they have no goaltending. Seattle's inconsistent as hell. Anaheim is inconsistent. The Sharks are Macklin Celebrini and his merry men. But as I said, they kind of fell apart. They have won. They did extend Kiefer Sherwood for a lot of money and a lot of term. But I thought they would trade him, but I guess not. The Kings are injured to hell, and the Flames are hot ass, and the Canucks are they're out in the wilderness trying to figure out what the fuck's happened, and it is a fucking gong show, and they're gonna have to probably keep reloading again because you've got latter stage JR without the cups. Have fun. Vancouver, yeah. As I said, speaking of which, I am working on that Legacy of Failure, by the way. I've been writing it out for a number of years. Next video is going to be on the impending MLB lockout, by the way. I'm working on that one. That should be out in the next few days. Wolf Allison Chains for 5 Canadian. Should the Penguins take a chance on Jeff Skinner? He's just depth at this point, and quite frankly, I would rather trust a younger player. Jeff Skinner will get a chance somewhere. It'll probably be a Chicago or somewhere just to eat minutes, but Jeff Skinner, it's not what he is. It's a shame. Felipe Yoshio Cordero de Souza for 5. Thank you very much, sir. 5 reals are worth nothing. I just hope Mason Plumlee plays. Not Miles. He's worth as much as McDavid. Yes, you saw that video too. Actually, that fell up on my feed and I just rewatched it. Miles Plumlee making as much as Connor McDavid. What the fuck? What a brutal instance, man. Well, Iva Dozy, why isn't Kadri being traded? I can explain this to you right now. Very simply, in the most layman terms possible, Nazem Kadri has a gigantic contract. And he also has a no trade clause. He has 3 more years at $7 million. So, you're not trading just for Kadri. You're trading for his contract, and there's going to have to be some retention on there. I don't know if Calgary wants to do that. And with the limited no trade clause, I know Colorado apparently tried for Kadri, but Flames ownership just nixed that. Flames ownership said nope, and that's why they pivoted to Wah. It was a second resort. So Kadri's probably stuck. Blake Coleman, rumored to be on the way out, but if the Flames still think they can compete and not have to completely just gut everything down and reload with the young core, I don't know what to tell you. I legitimately don't know what to tell you. No other trades in the meantime. We're still waiting and chilling for the good stuff here. Mark Dimon, 12 for 5. As a Caps fan, trading John Carlson, sad to see. He should have been a Capital for life. I agree. It's going to be weird seeing John Carlson in a different jersey. Only Ovi and Wilson remain from the Cup. Hope the picks hit. I agree. But the problem is you're not going to get those picks for a good bit. But 27 should be a pretty deep class as well. It mostly depends on what's happening, but more or less just... Yep, Alan Nadeau. Yep, that's what I had heard too. It was going to be dealt back to Colorado, but Flames ownership just said, nope, done. We're done. Well, Paradiggity, a lot of ownership is stubborn. I mean, look at my Steelers. They don't give a shit. They're just stubborn as hell. Anime Cowboy, Nick Waugh is a good, like, third-line center. I could do pieces. The problem is Nick Waugh had those ridiculously high expectations because he was traded for Mitch Marner. Although technically it was just as a bribe to get Toronto to not throw a grievance at them for tampering with Marner, but I think that was part of the issue there. John Carlson on the Ducks equals Chris Chelios on the Thrashers. I wouldn't go that far. I would say it's more of a Duncan Keith on the Oilers. Because Chelios on the Thrashers he was done. He was there as a PR move. And he was 48. Huberdeau to Pittsburgh. You better be giving up like 5 first-round picks for that, man. Evan Rocks 1. Sabres returning to the playoffs before the New York Jets would be funny as hell. It would be funny as hell. Could you also imagine if Buffalo reaches another conference final before Toronto? Dude. That would be great. I would love it. Beautiful, man. I would love that shit so much. Amazing. Zofroyo for 5. Hey, Treat. Turning 23 tomorrow. Happy birthday, brother. Happy birthday, Zofroyo. Turning 23. It only gets worse from here. Trust me. I'm living proof. Also, might be too early to ask, but what do you think will make the Stanley Cup Finals this year? Oh, dude, it's so early to tell, man. At this point, I would probably choose... Fuck it, we'll do the meme cup. Buffalo against... Anaheim. I don't know. It sounds ridiculous now, but just you wait. Just you wait. Andrew Sung, will Mario Ferraro be moved? He's been rumored to move for like 3 years. So I don't think they're going to move him just right. Yeah, but Soulless beats you first and a fifth, basically, for exclusive negotiating rights. I mean, I'd take it, even if it's a late first. Because you weren't getting shit from Marner otherwise. Thomas Cherry, 9173. Will someone please take Klingberg? No. No. Maybe for, like, if you add something, maybe. But, unfortunately, it's not that. With Thomas for Nikishin? Nikishin. Problem is, how many years left does Nikishin have on his ELC? That's going to be the problem. How long till the deadline closes? We have 13 minutes. It closes at 3 o'clock Eastern. But that does not mean trades stop. It simply means that trades simply just... you can no longer discuss trades. They're currently in the NHL system, and they're going through their slow-ass fax machine of just printing everything, making sure everything's good, like... CD Price. Yager apparently is trying to retire this year. And I had that little puberty thing. Puberty. Beautiful stuff. Buffalo San Jose would make a meme possible. It would. But I don't see San Jose making it. Yeah, that's the thing, Camden. I don't think Nikishin would be traded. That'd be a foolish move, even for Robert Thomas. Robert Thomas is a damn good player, but still, I don't know about that. Crew Kid 52 for 10. So, do you think my Rangers will actually trade Vinny Trocheck? If it's just a retool, then you'd probably want to hang on to it. Also, watching Steve Dangle lose his damn marbles has been fun. If you watch the Leafs, it's understandable watching him lose his marbles. They've gone from repeated cock teasing to going back to the shit stew they were in before. So that's an issue right there. And also, another issue with Trocheck. And the Rangers in general, they can't really move anybody. They traded Panarin for pennies on the dollar because of a no movement clause. But Trocheck has 3 more years left on the deal with a 10-team no trade clause. For 32... Is it really worth it for that sort of potential decline? Because they're demanding a premium for Trocheck. You're not trading Miller. You're not trading Zibanejad because of those new movement clauses. Although they probably love to get rid of Zibanejad. Fox, you're never moving him. Gavrikov just got signed. No chance in hell. Borgen has a no trade clause. He's not traded till the summer, which is fucking ridiculous for Will fucking Borgen. Jesus Christ. Shesty, you're never trading. Quick, you just need the you just need the body, so that's why you keep him there. But Panarin, you retain 50% of his salary, so you keep him there, but it's just for a year, and you still sold him for pennies on the dollar. Jesus Lord, games. What are we doing? But as I said, it mostly depends on the value. Shane Wright to the Penguins was bait. I wish. You're less powerful when it's not just your voice burned oils. Here's the thing. It's not just the face. I think the problem is when you do streams, you have to show your face. I'm not a great fan of showing it per se. I think it's just a change of pace. It's okay. You can say I'm ugly. I'm pretty ugly as shit. Shot cents per games played. Shots against. Okay. Zips, they could get something, but with a no movement clause, his family's already entrenched in New York. Why would Zibanejad move? I don't think it's a sense there. Jordan Eberle's also been signed to a 2-year extension, so there's that. The Flyers are not moving Ristolainen. So the reunion of him in Buffalo, no such luck. Ristolainen will be here forever. So, yep, he's at practice in Philadelphia, so I'm under the assumption that he is staying put. No other trades have been made so far. As I said, big trade currently, Braden Shen. This is the issue I have with trade deadlines. You just sit around, you wait, you think, oh, okay, wow, we can finally get some moves happening. You finally wait for the big moves. More beard. Wraith Fighter, I don't work well with a beard because it gets itchy on the bottom. That's always been my issue. And I need a haircut. I get it. I need to show off the 6 head. I'm like Peyton Manning. But there is that. Andrew Song, Tree, thoughts on the Sherwood deal? As I said, I think it's way too much money, especially for a guy shooting over his head. He's shooting around 20%. But, I mean, Kiefer Sherwood's a tremendous story, too. Came away from an undrafted free agent or a late-round pick. Built his way up, and he's become probably the best scorer on Vancouver this year. No. I'm pretty ugly. I'm not saying this is sympathy bait. I'm just saying it because it's the truth. But Tree's a VTuber. Oh. As a VTuber, I mean, I've thought about it. As I said, as a VTuber, it would just be me as a tree. And it would just be like me peeing. It'd be kind of like Pseudo-Wudo, but with piss. God, it'd be so fucking horrible. That or AI. I can do an AI channel. Urinating tree with the AI. You're an AI-ding tree. Ha. I can produce more slop. Well, of course, Johan Eriksson. The shooting percentage forwards always get paid. That's why Vancouver was as good as they were for a while. What's up, H-Ferg? Thank you for coming, man. Well, Nick Denslow, if they legitimately... If their youth keeps molding the way they are, they add to the deadline, they can roll 4 lines, their goaltending's been solid, they could make a deep run. And I'm not even saying that to be superficial. Hey, piss on tree. Even more slop. Paradiggity. Never say never to more slop. Slop makes the world go round, my friend. Handshot, a 9 for 2. Beautiful Winter Classic jersey. Yes, sir. Got it, I believe, at a... it was used, but as I said, it's a Jordan Stahl Winter Classic jersey. Come on. Can't go wrong with that. From the original Winter Classic. Even if it's the baby blue. That's how it says. Secret Kingdom, the only YouTuber I trust to never go down the AI road. I appreciate your trust, dude, but we're all going to be AI in about a couple years. They keep force-feeding it to us. It's on my fucking phone now. It's on my computer. It's on most of my apps that I use for YouTube. It's, use AI. How about no? I don't give a shit. I'm sorry. It's not at the point where it can help me yet. Although I'm not against AI per se. Because with AI, as I said, I think, like, it could be a useful tool. It's like analytics in football. I think, like, with the right situation, I think it can help me with a lot of aspects and save significant time and really make things more efficient. Flyers are done for the day. So, no Ristolainen on the market. Well, Wraith Fighter, it's not trying to nail down a couple last trades. They are. You have 5 minutes left. So, they're trying to make sure everything's there and... mainly wait. Well, him just machine, as I said, it is also the oversaturation. You're getting backlash from it. Because if AI were just something in the background, I don't think there would be a huge issue towards it. And the problem is, it's that everything is just being forced. It's, oh, we've spent all this money on AI, and now we have to use it, and now it's being shoehorned into every goddamn thing. Grok, is this true? I don't care. I'm going to do my own research. I don't want AI telling me what to do. It's like Wikipedia back in the day. Remember when Wikipedia was never seen as a legitimate source? Problem is, what does it do for school projects? Now, instead of actually doing your own research, creating your own thoughts and ideas, now it's just going to be, we're just going to use AI. And the problem is it's easily corruptible and manipulatable. So... you're not getting your own opinion. You're getting someone else's regurgitated. That's at least how I feel. Well, King Canada, Terminator warned us about AI with Skynet. Once Skynet figures out hands and basic motions of the body, we're fucking done. We are done. And NASRN on YouTube, the role of Sleepy Lou Lamorello being played by Tom Fitzgerald today is firing. Can't come soon enough. Talk about roster malpractice. Oh, easily. Last 2 years, butchery. Fucking butchery. Like, this is butchery on the level of Chuck Fletcher. And speaking of which, Chuck Fletcher is apparently on the Devil's staff, so it makes a lot of sense. It makes way too much goddamn sense. Yeah, buddy. BWG3209. I said it before. Hold on. Leafs would be irrelevant forever while Boston would become a dynasty. Just didn't think the start would be now. Well, Madden's AI, the problem is it's not really an AI, it's just preset animations. They use a first-person shooter engine for their football game, which completely goes against the whole idea of a sports game, especially a contact sport. Tree GPT. Tree PT. You mean Tree PT. Or GP Tree. It would be. It would just be, just like, fuck you. Take the R out of Rangers and that's trash. Goose Gum Lizard, even AI porn is trash. I couldn't relate. So there's just that. AI porn. Wait until AI makes NHL games? I mean, honestly, they're probably using AI in video games right now. They probably use it for a lot of different grunt work. I mean, if AI could figure out game testing, it would solve huge issues in that market too. But the gaming industry has their own issues in general, especially with overback. But we do have 3 minutes left. That's just how that is. You should reach your super chat. Yep. YouTube, the legacy. Yep. As I said, super chats. I'm a little bit behind. I'm still on. I'm at 241 right now. So, hello, Velt AG for 10 euros. Thank you very much, brother. He's at 242. So anything after that, I still have to get to you. I was watching your Vegas haters guide, and you talked a bit about the bankrupt early 2000s Pens. Wouldn't that be a great video idea, Tree? Especially because you're a Pens fan? Yeah, that would be a good idea. I've always wanted to do a video on the 03-04 Penguins, who were, as I said, the biggest misconception about that team is that they thought the Penguins sucked because they were tanky. No. They sucked because they were broke. If you actually look at a lot of the trades at the time, before the lockout, you were allowed to trade cash. So that cash was the only thing that kept the Penguins afloat, especially the Kovalev, the Yager, I believe the Lang and Straka trades had the same thing. Most of those trades were for straight up cash. And we got pizza. Beautiful pizza. Oh, Brandon, don't say ever just yet. Vegas is always good for a big late day trade. They do need some goalie help. They traded for Nick Waugh. They traded for, I believe... Shoot, who else did they trade for? Not Nick Waugh. They traded for Nick Dowd. Sorry. And also, I believe, they also traded for Cole Smith. So bottom six depth from Nashville. Actually, I think I'm having pizza tonight. It sounds like pizza. It'd be good to have pizza. And while we ride the lightning with 1 minute left. 1 minute left in the deadline, folks. 1 minute left. YouTube the legacy for 5 Canadian. Thank you. I appreciate you, man. Also, if a player's a full no move, can teams lock them out from their facilities and staff, then bench them for the rest of the term as leverage? The NHLPA would have an easy flip shit about that. They would file an instant grievance and it would go the other way. You underestimate the players you need. But so far, I can't find the seconds right now, but it's 2:59. 1 minute remaining in the period. 1 minute. Bennington to the Golden Knights. Actually, this is a good song for the final minute. That's just that. And D. Perry 319. My sources are saying in order to make Alex Ovechkin feel better after losing Dalton Carlson, they're rehiring Bruce Boudreau. And speaking of which, it is currently 3 o'clock. Pencils down. Turn in your papers. The trade deadline has officially ended. But that does not mean the trades are officially done. It just means you can no longer talk about trades. Every trade that is currently available is currently in the system in the NHL's office. They're going through the old school fax machines. They're printing everything out. And they're going from there. But, Fat Balls, the Leafs did something. They traded Nick Waugh for a first round pick. They did plenty of stuff. And Ray Chenard, they're not picking up Bennington because they already have Jari. And Bennington has a huge contract. And I mean a huge contract. If we look at Bennington real quick, he's not even a rental. He's got a few years left on his deal. Yeah, he's got one more year left with a 10-team no-trade clause. So I think that's the issue with Bennington. Plus, you don't want to spend over $10 million on 2 useless goalies. But Edmonton already has enough of that dealing with already. Justin Falk was rumored on the issue. Torrey Krug, he's done. Parayko was rumored, but once again, full no-trade clause, so he can't be traded until 28-29. Yeah, Buffalo dodged a bullet. St. Louis would have loved to redeem Murka in a first-round pick. But a lot of full no-trade clauses. Kyrou, Thomas, Bushnevich, Braden Shen once again, but he is gone. He has agreed to waive his no-trade clause, and he is going to the Islanders. He has 2 more years left on his deal. Holloway and Berggren, they're going to be more or less just pieces right now, but the Blues have, they're singing the blues right now. They're most definitely singing the blues. But otherwise, we are still waiting around for some deadline stuff. Tyler T.Y. Sutton for 5 with McCarron going to Minnesota. Should Nashville add a big body in the checking line? As I said, they probably have some pieces in the minor league system they can use. They'll probably bring up LaRue and use him. But Nashville is just, I think they're seeing the writing on the wall. They're trying. Oh, Justin Falk to the Wings. They got somebody. All right. Justin Falk going to the Red Wings. They get their right-handed shot. I know the Pens were rumored about him, but unfortunately, no such luck. I'm trying to find stuff here, but unfortunately, that's just how it goes. Canadian team GM press conferences. Oh boy. Yep, the ask is lowered on McMahon, so it's a second-round pick. Yep, Red Wings have emerged for Falk. They probably paid a premium for him, but that's just how that is. Just how that goes. We're just waiting and seeing. We need to see what's happening with the Justin Falk return. So that is the big piece. Bobby McMahon going to the Kraken. McMahon going to the Kraken. Is Trocheck to the Devils? I wish. But so far, Justin Falk to the Red Wings, Bobby McMahon going to Seattle. They just wanted to get rid of him, so I think that's why Bobby McMahon was able to get anything they could. Well, Chris 6D. Kraken offered Panarin a 4x14, but here's the thing with Artemi Panarin. He loves the big city life. Seattle was never going to be able to really provide that for him. You look at the places he's been. Chicago, New York, Los Angeles. Then he goes to Los Angeles now. Columbus paid more money, and the Islanders paid more money for Panarin, but he chose less money to go to the big city. And that's always been his thing. He'll take less money to get the big city life. Josh Van, as I said, the Penguins, I would have liked Justin Falk, but as I said, the price would have been pretty steep. So we'll see. I mean, I think the problem is with the Penguins, too, especially with the injuries to Crosby, Malkin. Mike is suspended for a bit. Lazat's been hurt for a little bit. But it's just that. Any Preds leave today? I don't believe so. I haven't seen anything yet. But they traded a few guys over the past few days, mostly bottom 6 pieces. Leafs are getting a second in 2027 and a fourth in 2026. Okay. That's fair value for McMahon. I know they were looking for a first-round pick, but there was no such luck. They just wanted to get rid of him because they weren't doing shit, and they also just wanted anything before he left for nothing in free agency. So they just said, fuck it, we'll just take whatever. Just get him. Take him. Cesar Garcia, thank you for the support, my man. An opinion on the Ducks' current year? I don't know how to really gauge them because they're both hot and cold. They had that really cold December with Dostal. Carlson was hurt for a little bit, but with the key pieces, they should make the playoffs again. I don't know if they're going to go far, but as I said, Coach Q, you never know. He's at least been the piece they've needed. Falk to Detroit for a first and a third. Oh, Jesus. No wonder why the Pens didn't get that. You're trading a first-round pick for Justin Falk? Jesus. Life Upstead, I might do a Twitter space later, but we'll have to wait and see for the time being. But still, a first and a third. That's steep, man. As I said, no wonder why Detroit got Justin Falk. The price was going to be very, very, very steep. And hello, Veld, Faye G. Would you make a video about the bankrupt early 2000s Pens? There's almost nothing about that time on YouTube or anywhere. I would just wax poetic about all the old players. The late Konstantin Koltsov and Rico Fata. They could skate like the wind and do pretty much nothing else. Their highest scoring player at that time, and it's always a Ripley's, believe it or not, Dick Tarnstrom, the former New York Islander. Well, Palle Lindbergh, you have to remember with the Red Wings, it's not just making overpayments. Stevie Y is under tremendous pressure to make the playoffs. And that's why he's making the moves that he is. Justin Falk, you have him for another year at least, but it's just how that is. Dickie Tarnstrom. Well, H. Farrakhan, Blues are actually rebuilding. If they get rid of Roberts Thomas, yes, but the price is way too rich. Because they want multiple first-round picks and a NHL-ready prospect or two. Hey, Alexei Morozov was a legendary Devils killer. I just put it that way. If they played New Jersey every single game, Alexei Morozov would be in the Hockey Hall of Fame right now. I'm just putting it out there. Ryan Strome to Calgary. This has to be a cap dump. Strome hasn't really done much this year, but once again, they've added a few pieces. I think they're just trying to make the cap work. Thank you, Carlos. I appreciate the kudos on the jersey. And Smitty KB, you think the Blue Jackets pay out for Rob Thomas? It's going to be a lot, dude. It's going to be a lot. Honestly, I hope the Penguins trade for Kent Johnson because we've done really well with reclamation projects from Columbus. Thanks for Igor Chinikov, by the way. Justin Hull going to St. Louis. Okay, so is Hull going back for Falk? Dante, Justin Falk's going to Detroit. Ryan Strome. Okay, Ryan Strome. Right. I thought I got the wrong Strome. Dylan's still in Washington. Robert Thomas to the Penguins. I wish. We'll see. Yep. Red Wings actually traded Hull. Correct. Justin Hull's probably going for the cap. And that's why they probably got a first. That makes sense if you got a first-round pick for Justin Hull. Because you're getting out of that contract. And they've been trying to get rid of Justin Hull for a very, very, very long time. Actually, they already got rid of Justin Hull. Hull's already buried. He's got 1 year left on his deal. But as I said, he has been buried in the minor leagues for years on end now. They buried him here. He was up here, but this whole year, buried in the minors. And Hull did not work out in Detroit. He... public enemy number 1 over there. And my chat's dead again. So give me 1 second. I have to re-update this crap. Because my stream crashed again. Yeah, baby. Yeah, to the baby. So we have a live stream right now. Strome going for 2027 7th. As I said, Ryan Strome has not been doing well this year. And I think that has to do a lot with that sort of return. Yeah, Ryan Strome is... yeah, that's why. Because he's had his moments in Anaheim, but as I said, he's a body. You're mostly just using him just to get out of his contract and... do right by him. I think that's part of the thinking with Strome. But Bobby McMahon going from Toronto to Seattle as a rental. Justin Falk going from St. Louis to Detroit. Had it, lost it, as always. That's just how that is. Official Gush Ricklin for 5. If you consider yourself ugly, then I'm Mr. Sardonicus. I would say, honestly, I would believe that Mr. Sardonicus is a really attractive individual. I'm joking, man. But, dude, don't call yourself that, man. You're a beautiful person, Gus Rick. I appreciate you being here, man. And Jared Brussel. Take good care of Soda. I love his size, but he couldn't fit in here. I think it definitely made sense. He definitely has the ability, but he got out-muscled out for a spot, and I think the Penguins are going to try and rehabilitate him at least as a bottom 6-piece. Yeah, Bobrovsky didn't get traded because Bobrovsky has not been good. And that you're getting him more for the name than anything. And Westwash 97 for 2 bones. Is this the Pareko mix more than just the Bagulas? Oh, yeah, easily. Simply put, he wants to be closer to his family. His family's in St. Louis on the West Coast. So that's why he didn't want to move east. It's simple as that. It's just player preference. That is all it is. And Justin Solomita for 2. How about some NHL 94 modded? Ooh. Well, SD, Pens are live on YouTube. They may have a smaller trade, but that's about it. Penguins didn't really need to do that much. They were looking at some rumors, but once again, it's just the prices are too rich. They're looking for maybe more for value than anything, but... Well, Cesar Garcia, the problem is the issue is my hair is not really up to par right now. As I said, it's just I usually style it, but I look like I'm 12. That's the issue. And also, I've been busy working on the MLB video, so I didn't have much time to really get clean. I've been running errands all morning. Fun times. Fun times. It's what the, I fucking hate this term, but it's what the kids call adulting. I'm adulting. Actually, I don't give a shit. You're just, you don't need a term for every damn thing. Naruto, can the Wild leave the first round? You better hope so. But Dallas is going to be a very, very tough opponent. That's the worst thing. If you were in any other division, I would say yes. But the problem is you are in the Central, and it's going to be tough. Well, Mayhem Matty, White Cloud, you could still get him. He's still under contract for a couple years. You could probably get him in the offseason if need be. Oh, Mark DiMartino. Oh, dude, I said it's just how it goes, baby. Just how it goes. Well, Kaplan, the Rangers didn't trade Vinny Trocheck, so his kid doesn't have to worry. His kid gets to stay on his team. Yep, Strome for a 7th on there as well. I cannot spell. My apologies. So let's take a look. Yep, the Rangers have not traded Vincent Trocheck. Because remember, that was the big thing. Is if you're looking for context, this is what I'm looking at here. So, this is the thing. Vincent Trocheck said he has already talked to his kids about the possibility of being traded to prepare them. His son, who is 7, had a legendary response. My son was like, well, I'll stay because, you know, I have a hockey team here. I didn't get traded. So that's what I'm referencing. I'm not trying to vague post. We have no time left. The trade deadline ended 15 minutes ago. So we're going to see some pieces. So they didn't drop the price on Trocheck, and he is staying put. McMahon's finalized. The Islanders and Blues are currently staying at the same hotel. But that makes sense. That makes sense. Trying to see who else is really there. Dubas is probably having his press conference right now. He would be speaking live at 3:15. Yeah, he doesn't expect to be involved in a trade call with the league, so they are probably done. I'm just looking out right now. Trying to see if there's anything else that's really come onto the back right now. Your Senators are done. Drury. Oh, Chris Drury. Oh, you're talking about bad GMs. Woo! Woo, 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 baby. It's garbage. It's garbage. Did Drouin go to the Blues? I know they said, well, Kaplan, there's always a queue this late. It's just how it goes. There's always this sort of thing. Lawton got traded. Oh, yeah, they've been looking to move on from him because he's a rental. Panthers want to re-sign, but makes sense. They'll have him as a backup. Yep, Lawton has been traded. Just looking at my stuff right now. So, yep. Strome to Calgary. Shen Drouin going the other way to make the cap work. A 2026 first, a third, and Marcus Gidlov. So Gidlov is a prospect, more or less. Nothing too crazy. So Jonathan Drouin has not been great, but here's the question. Why is Drouin going to back? Because Drouin's an Islander. Unless Jonathan Drouin magically became... Oh, wait. Sorry, I'm thinking... Sorry. I can't think. Shen's going to the Islanders. I'm thinking somebody else going to Colorado. My bad. My brain go cuckoo. I'm like, what? Wait, back. So, Drouin hasn't done much on the island, and I think that's why they're moving him to St. Louis to at least get a little bit of help, and also to make the cap work. But I think that's also a reason why they're adding a first-round pick to this. And Marcus Gidlov, once again, just a prospect. Definitely a prospect. So, the Kings have gotten Scott Lawton. So, they're trying to refortify. Once again, the Kings have been dealing with a lot of injuries. Because Menko, Joel Armia, and Kevin Fiala all out for the season. Jari's playing tonight. Oof. Marcus Gidlov, goalie prospect. Panthers are trying to re-sign Greer. He was rumored to be in the trade deadline market. But yeah, you could probably get him for $2.5 million a year for 2 years. I think that should get it done. Naruto, I do like the Brink pickup for Minnesota. It's good middle six forward depth. He's a lot of skill. Juracek wasn't really fitting in Minnesota, so it makes sense. Senators are done. Bruins are done. Foligno. Blues are done. Sharks are done. Carolina, no moves yet. So there is that. Nothing too insane. And Beast of Metal 1989 for 5. Did Captain Drury pull the trigger on the Trochump trade? Or did those rumors shrivel up like the inside of his slacks? Those rumors did shrivel up. They did not move from their price. He has remained a Ranger. And BWG3209. If Tree Living survives past this season, I might just cheer for another team. The Leafs have been the poster child for incompetence since 2021. I mean, as I said, like... He's doing the same shit he did in Calgary. That's the best way to really say it. Well, RK Vipers, Drouin, here's the problem. Is he going to get world-class talent in St. Louis? Is he going to be with Kyrou and Thomas? I don't know. No. Bitchman, it's a buzzword, you know, like retool and truculence. It's to make it look more ornate and fancy. That's always been the thing. Well, San Diego, Vegas needs a goalie bad. Is Carter Hart coming back this year, or is he still on the infirmary? Because Aiden Hart is not been good. Any word on what the Sharks got for Liljegren? So far, no return. I have not seen anything yet. If anything, probably like a third or a fourth would be my best guess. Because Liljegren still has that pedigree. Depends how long his contract is, if we're being honest. And Saturn Otaku for 10. I'd say I can't believe the Bolts traded a second for Perry, but I can totally believe it. Now I'm going to go drink like a Packers fan after the divisional round. Not just that, it's beautiful. Hurricanes are done, so Alex Nikishin is staying put in Carolina, which is good, because I would not have traded him. Well, Brendan Carter Hart had his moments, but he was struggling for a while, but yeah, he's done. Yep, Coleman was not traded. Lomberg was not traded. I think Kadri has also not been traded. He was nearly traded, but Flames nixed it. Well, Zetna, NHL fans killed the deadline after crying about double retention and trades in LTIR. I mean, here's the thing. They always bitched about LTIR, but at the same time, it's... I mean, a lot of people bitched about that, and they kind of had to fix that loophole. Well, Nolan Ross, the Wild did a good bit. So, they didn't get a big fish, but they got a couple smaller hauls. And I think, quite frankly, your biggest piece was Quinn Hughes. And that's when you made your big piece. I think that's the problem. Oh, the Devils apparently blocked a trade between Simon Nemec and William Eklund. Ooh. San Jose would have been really nice to get Simon Nemec on San Jose. The Caps are apparently not done. Well, Daniel, the question is, do you have the space for a Jason Robertson? You would have to do a little maneuvering. I think Duchesne and Ben are probably on the way out. You'll probably find a way to move Sagan. You'll probably get rid of a future first for him or something. Devils name Mo moves. Devils. Here's the problem. Tom Fitzgerald, he's the reason why you couldn't make any moves. I have the wrong list here. If you look at the Devils, look at all of these no movement and no trade clauses. You are not trading Jack Hughes. Dawson Mercer was rumored, but he probably would have been at a depressed value. Glass, who's taking on Siplikov. Bjorkstad, they traded for. Haminaho, McEwen, Paul Cotter. I mean, I'd rather keep Paul Cotter if need be. Luke Hughes, you're not trading him. And the rest have no trade clauses. It's Dougie Hamilton was rumored for a while. Dadonov has a fucking no trade clause, which is hilarious. But he has a 10-team trade list. But who's trading for Evgeny Dadonov? Connor Brown has a full no trade clause for 2 years. Stefan Neeson has a 10-team no trade clause. Heeshear. I'm surprised Heeshear doesn't have a full no trade clause. But that's just how that is. Bratt, Meyer, Pesci, Dylan, Kovacevic, they all have full no trade clauses. Siegenthaler has a modified no trade list. Jake Allen has a full no trade clause for 2 years. Yeah, that's why you couldn't make any trades. Tom Fitzgerald ruined you. He straight up ruined you, boys. And Lowell, most impactful deadline trade in NHL history. Ooh. I mean, potentially Martin Nierat for Philip Forsberg. I'd say that's a big one, but I mean, for Nashville's sake, probably. I would have to. I mean, if Ivan Barbashev to Vegas was a really low-key trade, that has done wonders for Vegas. Naruto, what would be possible to keep Quinn Hughes in Minnesota? Everybody's got a price. I think that's the thing, but you don't have to deal with that until the summertime. So focus that. Well, Josh Van, the Bens, if you look at Robert Thomas's price, they were looking at multiple first-round picks, multiple high-end prospects, and I believe an NHL-ready player. They were looking for the moon. Naslund to Vancouver? Don't remind me. Alex Stoyanov. Ugh. Good lord. Yeah, Connor Brown is a no-trade clause. Exactly. Pierre Maguire traded the Steve Dangle Podcast Network for Dangle. Well, Tim Bernard, the McKinnon to the Canucks. They wish. They truly wish, man. Imagine being a grown man yelling about the Leafs. Dude, I would yell about the Leafs right now. They're fucking terrible. Yeah, that's the problem, Trig. It's Robert Thomas is a good player. He's not that good. Like, they're looking at him as a franchise center. He's a good first liner. I don't know if I call him franchise. Yeah, Dadonov didn't do shit with the Devils. Dadonov had no points. Here is your dad, Dadonov. Dadonov did Dadonov things. There are actually two of Evgeny Dadonovs. He had no points in 17 games. And for old time's sake, I have to play this clip. Dadonov! Dadonov! Sorry, had to. Dadonov is life. Dadonov is bliss. Dadonov is eternity. And Justin Durley for 5. Thoughts on the FanDuel Sports Network shutting down another RSN down? Not just that, Sean Cosgrove, he was not traded. Trocheck is not going anywhere. Good old Dadonov. But Justin Turley, speaking of FanDuel Sports Network, that's actually going to be part of my MLB video because that is a major reason why the owners are so deep in a salary cap. Because over half the teams now are currently out. It wasn't if FanDuel or Bally would shut down, it was when. They've been circling the drain for years. FanDuel laid off a number of people in their main office as well, so they're done. 7 teams are going to be broadcast by baseball, so I believe they're up to 12 or 13 that are broadcast by Major League Baseball itself. A few other teams are trying their own like streaming services or like joining up with certain pieces, and their operating income is going to be half. The Pirates dropped from 50 to 55 to 25 to 30. So there is that. You're losing a lot of money. And I think that's just such is life. David Kampf going to the Caps. Yep, David Kampf for a 6th. Vancouver just wanted to get something for him. Kampf wasn't doing shit there. Well, Tom Dangs, Edmonton. David Kampf is just he's a dime a dozen bottom sixer. He's not bad, but he's nothing special. Yep, it's Kampf for a 6th rounder. But Justin Turley, baseball's in a world of shit. And that's my next video, actually. So I'll have that done. I'm working on overlays right now on it. But as I said, it's a combination of like a bunch of different factors as to why baseball is just in a mess. And here's the thing. If you actually look at a lot of the teams that didn't do anything, that's probably why. They lost a lot of operating income. That was tens of millions of dollars just vanished in the blink of an eye. Teams looking to sell, teams under like shedding payroll, and you just roll like that, and you don't know what I mean, the Twins, for example, they're an extreme case, but they were one of the teams that lost their RSN. Serial Stroke, biggest trade has been Braden Shen going to the Islanders for Jonathan Drouin, a 1st, a 3rd, and a goalie prospect. Otherwise, not much. Biggest trade was last night was John Carlson to the Ducks. JGP signed a 3-year extension. Lucas Reichel to the Bruins for a 6th rounder. It's Teddy Bluger was not traded. That's a bummer. I was looking forward to him as center depth. He wasn't going to get much, but well, Naruto, they won a championship 30 years ago, so they're not really eligible just yet. They need a little more time. Well, Big Hurt, the Dodgers rake money hand over fist because they own their own RSN. They have international markets. Here's the thing. They made Shohei Ohtani's contract in net profit last year. So that's why. Yep, Jean-Gabriel Pageau for a 3-year extension. And that's just mainly how it is. Well, Matt, the drastic salary increase, it's not just that. It's double retention is no longer a thing, and you're no longer able to free up money on the LTIR. That's what killed it. And I don't think it really killed it per se. It's just most of the trades have already happened. At least to me. They happened throughout. And, yeah. Pens, as I said, they really didn't do much. You know, they brought in Sam Girard. They got a 2nd-round pick for him. And Elmer Soderblom, who's a buy low candidate for a 3rd-round pick. So we'll see what happens there. I think Crosby's injury and Malkin's suspension kind of fucked things up. So that's why they kind of stood pat. John Thrift, most likely. But the question is, it's not if there's a stoppage or like a lockout, it's how long. And especially if the baseball owners are adamant on having a salary cap, the Players Union wants nothing to do with that. They have never wanted to do anything with that for a long time. And they're going to flip out on that. And Justin Turley, I do wonder what you think of MLB and NHL teams going over the air. But as I said, I think it makes sense because there's nowhere else to go. You just want eyeballs on the product. Streaming isn't going to get you as much money. You only get like 30 to 40,000 viewers. You might make like $5 million, which is nothing compared to what they used to make. They made 50 to 60. It's like a 90% drop in what they used to have. So honestly, as I said, just get it there. Yeah, Doug Armstrong saving this deadline. Yep. Yep. Justin Falk also going to Detroit for a first-round pick. Oh, Tree. I've been watching a little bit of it. Chechia got eliminated last night, if I remember correctly. Well, Sinbin stream, Ovi, if he does anything, he probably goes back to Russia for a few years. He'll probably do the Datsuk. That is my best bet. Couple other updates. David Kampf and Reichel. Vancouver just wanted to get rid of them. They couldn't find the market. It's like, here, take it for a sixth. That's all it is. No word on the Liljegren return. But otherwise, not much happening here. Corey Perry, Bobby Brink. But your biggest trade was here and here. But they happened last night. And Nick Waugh, too. Manjapane, Olimata, Mackenzie Weegar. Most of your big trades already happened. So, unfortunately, as I said, been a relatively quiet deadline. Great Britain's home run celebration? Ooh, I might have to. Let's take a look at this real quick. If I don't get flagged for copyright, I definitely will. Well, here's your Shohei home run. And he kills baseballs because he's Shohei Ohtani. He's a beast. Especially in the Tokyo Dome. Good luck. I'm trying to find it real quick. So here's the home run. They have luchadors in Mexico, and they hail as a royal coronation in Britain. Ah. Is that Jazz Chisholm? Jazz Chisholm's playing for Great Britain. Huh. Didn't know that. Malkin, I could potentially... I think the thing with Malkin is he'd rather stay in Pittsburgh if need be. I think they're looking to potentially renegotiate it, but it's just how that is. Well, Sinbin stream, I think there's a chance. The thing is, it's not an in-person hearing. So he is getting a hearing, but it's just how that goes. Scott Lawton got a third-round pick. I'm surprised he got that. He has not done well in Toronto, and to think he got a first-round pick for him in the past and a prospecting for Benkin. Oof. I bet you anything there are a bunch of old baseball heads saying, like, they should bean them for doing that. He's wearing too many chains. Yes, I know. Max Clark wears a lot of chains. He also is not doing well. He's like 2 for 18 in spring training. Well, enter Caleb. It's not just with the Angels. The Cleveland, the old Indians, the Guardians, I think they spent something like $7 million, which is ridiculous. Leif Upstad. Ooh, I'm sorry. Argentum, I'll get to you real quick. Tree, thoughts on Falk heading to Detroit for a first, a third, and Hull? I think adding Justin Hull added to that value, but a first-round pick for Justin Falk is very steep. Even if he is a good defenseman, 1 year left on the deal, it is a first-round pick. That's a big price to pay. And Leif Obstad, in honor of Shaq's birthday, can you post the Guangdong Tigers clip, if you have it, to say where Geno Smith's going after the Raiders cut him? Ooh. I might have to. I did one for Sam Darnold back in the day, and, well, after he lost to the Rams, but that's just, I said that's, man, I think you're just trying to get Geno Smith to win a Super Bowl. I see where you're headed here. And 401 Mexico, they're bringing out the luchador outfits. Well, $1.20 chicken tendies. Baseball needs a cap and a floor. They need both. But the issue is, it's, as I said, the players' union wants nothing to do with the salary cap. That has always been their major concern. And if they don't get that, they're in deep shit. Zoom that in a little bit. And Hoya Cat Jess Chisholm's from the Bahamas, which is a former British colony. That's what I thought. But I'm surprised he's on Team Great Britain. I thought he would have been, although the Bahamas probably don't have their own team. So that's probably why. Leif Upstead, oh dude, hey. Here's the thing, Mina Kimes was not the only person bitching about that move at the time. I thought it was a little weird. But I mean, I thought like, you know, Gino wasn't going to lead him to a playoff spot, but he was top 15. But unfortunately, he went back to Jets Gino and went to shit. Sean Cosgrove, over under 5K Twin fans per game at Target Field. But here's the thing, man. He's calling up former season ticket holders, and and they're pissed at him. Come on, man. Well, Fruits Max, they need both. They need both badly. And the issue is, you can't get a floor unless you solve the RSN issues, because a lot of teams are gonna immediately become insolvent, I should say. Well, Sandrock, the Islanders are trying to get those intangibles. They're trying to get the leadership and that cup experience. But, yeah. It's a very steep price, especially for 3 more years left on that deal. It's going to be rough. Tell you what, I'm going to take a quick break real quick. And then we'll get back to some more wonderful trade deadline action. And I hope to God there's some more trade deadline action, or else it's gonna be rough. Sometimes the tree gotta pee. Tree got to pee. And if the tree gotta pee, the tree gotta pee, my man. I'm as simple as that. Nothing much besides the good times in DD. Welcome back, my friends. Joe Mixon got cut. Well, he's been hurt all year, so that's not a surprise. Yep, third rounder for Scott Lawton, Braden Shen. Nothing too much there. I'm trying to think. Yep, Lucas Reichel, Scott Lawton. I said nothing to it. Whoop, Iran rejects ceasefire negotiations. Uh-oh. But a couple updates also from that as well. The Raiders have received multiple legitimate and strong offers from Max Crosby. So, Max Crosby probably on the way out. Also, a YouTuber is going to be a congressman. So he is a congressional candidate. He has won. So congratulations. Going here. As I said, now we're in the sort of slow area where, you know, things aren't really happening. We're waiting maybe for a trade or two. Nothing too crazy there. Conf got traded to for a 6th round pick. So Conf is gone. Well, CD Price, remember, that's the deadline for you. They did overpay for Lawton, and it was also on term. That also helps, too. Also happened with Carlo. McDavid to the KHL. Well, Dakota Thomas, here's the question you have to remember. A lot of the free agent signings that the Dodgers had did not work out. Tanner Scott was a fucking mess. Kirby Yates was frequently hurt. Conforto was a disaster. Roki Sasaki was hurt for most of the year. Blake Snell, he also was dealing with injury issues. Yep, Herrera did win. He won his primary. Yeah, Canucks are definitely selling. They didn't sell everything, but... Well, Jared Gomez, Greer is San Jose Super Wholesale Emporium. And Washington needed a body to replace John Carlson. Hey, Saucer, Lucas Reichel, man. Hey. If you want, that's the majesty of latter stage JR. Lucas Reichel. Just doing his thing. You trade him for a 4th round pick, get a 6th. That's good business. Nothing wrong with that. Hey, there's a lot of garbage. Natchez to the Rangers. Sure. Well, Roki makes minimum, true, but he also got a bonus. Tree for Congress? Oh, no. God, no. God, no. Well, Pelle Lindbergh, I think the problem is there wasn't much available, and it was also such a heavy seller's market that the prices were way too high. I think that's the problem. If you had a few more sellers, you could lower the value, you'd have more trades. But nobody was trading that much for Vinny Trocheck. Nobody was trading that much for Robert Thomas. Nobody was trading an arm, a leg, and a soul for every other piece out there. They just weren't. Remember, Nazem Kadri nearly got traded to Colorado, but Flames ownership nixed that deal. Well, Raider Roller, not just that. As I said, that's later stage JR. Who the hell wants Evander Kane? Well, Shadow Sniper, you have to remember, the sellers saw blood, and you either strike gold or you go bust. I think that's why a lot of teams didn't choose to buy, because they were in that middle stage, and it's like, wait, why am I paying an exorbitant sum for, like, what? Michael McCarron got a second-round pick. Nick Waugh fetched a first. That's all you need to know. Oh, Jorge Cat. That seems like it's a given. It is absolutely a given. Or, honestly, Gavin McKenna isn't even the consensus #1 now. It's also Keaton Verhoff and Ivar Stenberg. Both of them are still there. Well, Shasta, I think, the Texas guy realized that he wasn't there. Well, Nami Tacos, Vegas did do a few things, but once again, they just didn't have the cap space. They put a few guys on waivers. They added a few bottom 6 pieces, Nick Dowd and Cole Smith. But otherwise, as I said, their big deal was Rasmus Anderson. Duskwolf, here's a good question, man. Hey, Tree, want to get into hockey? You got anything to start from? Oh, simple. Few things. Look up a Game 7 from 2019 Vegas versus San Jose. Especially that third period. Like around 10 minutes in. Then Game 1 of Vegas versus Washington in 2018. I would look up the Avalanche versus Red Wings series of 1996. Deadly series right there. I would look up even the Four Nations final, Canada-USA and Canada-USA Olympics. I would look up those two. And I would also look up, I would say, I'm trying to think who else would be a really good overtime. Well, Raider Roller, there was a move for Kadri, but Flames ownership nixed it. The casino wants Evander Kane. Hey, Evander Kane and his casinos go a long way. It's notorious in Winnipeg, apparently. Well, Wahego, who do the Wild trade away in the summer for a true #1 center? It'll probably be Wallstead. As unfortunate it will be, it'll probably be Wallstead. Hey, if you're going to get a #1 center, you would have to trade him. Yep, OEL was not traded. Naruto Uzumaki, where does Matthews go after his contract is up? Probably close to his home in Arizona. Kings, maybe? I can see that. Yep. CO2 insane, but not just that. It was a needless hit by Cody Eakin. He didn't need to do that, and the team rallied around Pavelski, and he scored 4 goals on a 5-minute power play. That fucking ruined him. And then Vegas tied the game. Weird Fox, Toronto Game 7, 2013 versus the Bros. Oh, dude. Toronto fans will fucking kill you for that one. Jesus Christ. Woo. Wow. Like, you will die. Oh, dude, Sunoyandi, first Sharks game this season. Dude, have fun, man. You're in for a treat with Macklin Celebrini. That man is a special talent. This year's Stadium Series game, Jeremy Leva, that's a good one. I would have to say, who else would be a good one? I mean, I would say any Penguins game this year, especially the ones where they blew multi-goal leads. Those are fun. Except for your Pets fans, they're like, fuck! Kings Blackhawks 2014 Game 7 is a good one. Also, Kings Rangers, the Alec Martinez goal. That is, you still got those chills and that tingle down your spine with that call and that horn. Well, Anime Cowboy, I think the problem is they get very ruthless with how they treat players. Remember, they traded Pacioretty and Fleury for nothing. And I think that's what kind of, got them the negative PR. We're talking about this completely differently if they don't win a cup. That's just the reality of it. Contrary to the Habs. I wish. Flame Stars Game 7, the Gaudreau game winner. That, yeah, as I said, that was a good one. Any Game 7, especially one that's tight and goes to overtime, phenomenal. Was that game where Jazz Hands won it? Was a certain Canadian team lost to a Zamboni driver? That's a classic. Aston Martin and Cadillac will fail to make the 107%. They both failed to make the F1 race? Jeez. It's crazy. Lord Booty Clap, I have not done the dueling hat tricks. I would also say, I would say Game 6, Caps Penguins, 2016 Game 6. Capitals came back from a 3-0 deficit. Nick Bonino with the overtime goal. 4th rounder for Liljegren? That makes sense. That tracks. I thought it would be a 3rd or 4th for him. Yeah, that's what I thought. Game 7 was San Jose Vegas. I would say that one is definitely a must-watch. Hey, Great Catman, I'm doing well, man. I wish there was a little more happening with this deadline, but so far, so good. Well, Sean Gosgrove, I don't think the Zamboni driver actually gave up a goal. I think he made a couple saves, but I don't think he actually gave up a goal in that game. Yep, David Ayers, a Zamboni driver. Yep. Oh, wait, he did give up 2 goals. Huh. Surprised. But he does get the dub. He saved 8. A 48-year-old Zamboni driver. The legend of legends. Also, Scott Foster. The legend of legends. With the shutout. He did not get the win, unfortunately, because he didn't give up a goal. But, Scott Foster. He was a legend. We no longer have this. It was such a shame. We could have. It was. These were legendary moments, my friends. David Ayers, 42-year-old Zamboni driver, who works for the team. Yep, here's the update. Conditional 3rd for Scott Lawton. Draft pick becomes a 2nd if LA makes the playoffs. Okay, Hawks 23 for 5. Hello, huge fan. First time caller, long time listener. Thank you, brother. Appreciate the support, Hawks. Did we talk about Bobby McMahon to Seattle at any point? Not really. But Bobby McMahon is a tremendous story. If you look at him, he started out in the ECHL, really grinded his way to the top. He became a solid role player for Toronto and kind of ground his way and just built it up over time. He grounded the AJHL, really pushed from there. Let me move this here. With the Lloydminster Bobcats, 20-goal seasons. He's a relatively solid player, and now he's off to a playoff team in Seattle. So he'll get a good contract in the offseason. And these are the stories of what hockey's all about. He never had the reputation. He was a late bloomer and came to be. But as I said, it's they were looking for a first-round pick for McMahon, but there was no way they were going to get it. So Toronto just took what they could get. Same with Lawton. Because once again, it's just they weren't doing shit, and they were going to leave for nothing, so might as well get something for them, even if it is a second-round pick. That'll probably be mid next year. Toronto's just, they're done. And Jared Russell for 5. I forgot to mention I met Jim Johnson last night, the former Penguin traded for Larry Murphy. That Jim Johnson? Nice. He's the head of player development for the Anaheim Ducks. He was at the MSU versus Minnesota game. I believe he's an alum of Minnesota, if I remember correctly. So that's probably why he was there. I said I was too young to remember him as a Penguin, but he got us Larry Murphy. So that's all there is to it. Crew Kid 52 for 5 bones. Apparently, Guerin wanted Trocheck and said that he hoped Drury would give him a gold medal discount, but Drury stuck to his price. So Vinny Trocheck didn't move. Not just that, it's It's Vinny Trocheck, man. It's what they do. It's what the Rangers do, man. It's yeah, all my Rangers. And Chris Cristofaro just confirmed Liljegren to the Capitals for a fourth. It was definitely one of those moments, man. One of those moments indeed. An American Loyalist 458. How long before Rubio is acting GM of the Flyers? He couldn't do much worse. Actually, could he be the Devils too? Couldn't do much worse there either. And Sports Doc Chud for 2. How will the Pens break you this time? Probably with multi-goal blown leads and more injuries. That seems like the way to go. I can't even trust them with like a 4-0 lead. It's like, oh boy, another blown lead. Tom Fitzgerald's on the screen. It's I'm watching a man get fired right now. Because he mangled this team. And I mean mangled it. I mean, he had a great run for Florida in 96, but yeah. It's just he went to Minnesota Duluth. Okay. That's what I thought. I know he was a Minnesota college, but I wasn't sure which one. And P. Rollins. Treat, what are the chances my Wild don't suck in the playoffs? Here's the question. Dallas is going to be a really tough opponent. If you were in any other division, I would have much better chances. But here's the problem. You're facing a gauntlet. Colorado's a wagon. Dallas is also a wagon. Slightly lesser wagon, but still a wagon. So you have 3 teams that have to fight for it. One of them, at least one, will be knocked out in the first round. And that's the fucking tragedy of it. Because they all deserve to go on deep runs. But the question is, are they going to... like, can they find a way to do it? T. Bernard, no, I have not watched Heated Rivalry. Yeah. Hockey Twitter loves that show. It's a show about, apparently it's been described as Brokeback Mountain on ice. Ducks are a wagon on occasion, Marco. They go through these highs and lows. At this point, change it to the blue and white. No. Black and gold's a standard, man. It's just old school. Trick Yards for 5. Thank you, brother. Appreciate the support, my man. And Jared Russell. Johnson played for Minnesota Duluth, not University of Minnesota. As I said, I just got confused on which school it was. That's my bad. And Trick Yards. Doug Armstrong, last-minute masterclass. Huge haul. Correct. And he got it for a bunch of veterans. And we also have one more trade. Tanner Pearson going to Buffalo for a 7th-round pick. Tanner Pearson is, he's not what he was. I'm just going to put it that way. Tanner Pearson, good player for the Kings, but now it's, no. Ever since that hand injury with the Canucks, he hasn't been the same. And at that point, it's just, it's depth. It is merely depth, and, yeah. That's all you're getting at this point is depth. But speaking of which, from the Doug Armstrong deals, he's gotten some really big pieces. Couple first-round picks, couple thirds, Dmitry Bushelnikov, who's a prospect defenseman, Marcus Gidloff, a prospect goalie, Jonathan Drouin and Justin Hall, more for placeholders, but Shen and Folk weren't going to do much for the Blues. They were already having trouble. They weren't going to do anything, so they figured, let's recoup some prospect value, and 2026 draft is really good this year. Even if they go far, those first-round picks are going to be pretty solid. So, it's a good year to have it. This is looked at as one of the deepest classes in a long time. There's a lot of talent coming. So, as I said, good moves by St. Louis to at least understand their situation and just roll from there. And Marco, can't wait for the Sports Ball NHL trade deadline video. It's going to be legendary. Here's the question. I got to figure out how to attack it because I did my NHL video recently. There just hasn't been much that's happened, but I'll have to see what happens. Kadri to the Avalanche? Did they get him? Is this true? Did they actually get Kadri to the Avs? They actually fucking did it. I was about to end this stream soon. Jesus. They got him. Did Calgary's ownership relent? Let's see. I have to figure this out. Apparently, Kadri got moved. Scrappy breaks. NHL News. Fridge. Yep, Fridge is reporting it. Kadri is back to the Avalanche. Hold on a second here.
Ladies and gentlemen, we got him.
I gotta find a shorter version. Give me 1 second here. I have to shit post. If I can find it real quick. I think this is the same thing. Damn it, it is. I wish there was a way I could edit this. Because I can't actually edit it. Damn it. Fuck it. I'll just post the whole thing. But Nazem Kadri is going back to the Avs. They got it done. Calgary relented. They got relented. We got him. Okay. We finally have a deal. We finally have a deal. Hallelujah. Jeebus. Jeebus, thank you. We have a deal. I was this close to finally just like ending it, and I'm like, okay. Well, Newspeak plays, it's not just that. They didn't just dump Gerard. They did get Nick Waugh. And they got a few other pieces as well, but Blankenberg. But Nick Waugh is Kadri for O'Connor, a first and a third. If it's just that, I mean, Colorado's laughing at the bank. But Logan O'Connor is a huge deal they've been trying to get rid of for a bit because he just hasn't really been Logan O'Connor since his injury. And he's also been hurt. So, as I said, if you get Logan O'Connor at his peak, he's pretty good. But, yep. Nazem Kadri to Go Avs Go is in the queue. We are in the queue. So, Nazem Kadri did get done. Thank God. I was getting worried there for a second. Yep, Kadri finally got traded. Sunoi, it's being reported on Twitter by Elliot Friedman, as well as, I believe, Frank Saravelli. Both of them are currently confirming it. So it's multiple sources. Duhaime's not getting traded, I don't think. I think they're clear there. Tampa versus Avs rematch in 2026. That would be something. And the Avs end up winning the cup off the back of Nazem Kadri. LED Williams, it would make sense for Calgary to retain. They probably won't retain much, especially with multiple years. I would say probably 10 to 20%. That would be my best guess. Well, Paradiggity, Colorado's been gunning for the Kadri deal. And I'm guessing Calgary, they just said, like, look, we can't fucking do this. We need to go. Sunoi Nandi, Binnington has not gone anywhere. Simply that guy. The Penguins, they made one small move. Elmer Soderblom has been acquired from Detroit for a third-round pick. Bigger body, didn't really do much, but it's more of a change of scenery situation. Bottom 6 size. Mike Oxlong, no, unfortunately. Mike Oxlong did not get traded. My Oxlong, unfortunately, got kind of cut off, so no such luck there. Sorry, Two Hams. And Leafs not doing anything. Martin Kelly, they actually made a couple moves. They traded Nick Waugh. They got rid of Bobby McMahon and also Scott Lawton. So that's just how that is. And Steve Hunt's, nope, unfortunately no. I hope the return isn't too much. Well, we're waiting to see. Benny off to the bin. Michael Labb, the Panthers didn't do much of anything. They traded Jeff Petrie for a future considerations, just to do him as a saw. That's it. Adam Silver claims NBA's consider removing possibility of separating draft order from team records. Uh-huh. Yeah, they're trying to get rid of tanking, but that's like trying to cut off your entire foot to deal with an ingrown toenail. The NBA's got much bigger issues than alleged tanking right now. Just saying. Well, Don Borvio, you have to remember, Kadri, once he went to the Avs, he didn't get suspended. Just putting it out there. Well, they're worried about sports betting. They've had a bunch of huge scandals. They had Chauncey Billups, the Trailblazers coach, go down, Terry Rozier, Jonte Porter, but they got caught up in mob issues. I think Jonte Porter was an extortion because he owed a lot of money to those guys, and that's why he did it. But he kind of messed up his own career in the process. So. That's the issue you're going to run into, especially with, being more accessible. But nowadays, it used to be like that, but underground. Now you have it out in the open. And CrewKid52, how hilarious is it that Michael Jordan got that settlement out of NASCAR, and then Tyler Reddick wins at Daytona, Atlanta, and then COTA to start the year? Yep, Tyler Reddick's won 3 in a row. So far, so good. I mean, He can't really do... well, Anime Cowboy, it's also the circumventions with Kawhi Leonard. There is that, too. But, once again, it's... what draft picks are you going to lose if you're the Clippers? You've already given them all up. And Tucker White, 94. So, do we get an earth-shattering and which all optimism dies trade? Might be for Calgary with Nazem Kadri. Might be for Toronto. Intern Caleb, I'll be done before 5. I'll definitely be done before 5. I don't think there's much else going on tonight. I just want to see what the return is for Nazem Kadri, and then I'll finish up. And the beer nerd, the NBA so blatantly manipulated. The NBA has, as I said, they've had some serious issues. Like even the commissioner of the league saying like it's a highlight sport and you shouldn't watch the full games. It's like, okay. Well, T-Burn Nerd, it's as I said, it's the NFL is pretty manipulated. But here's the thing: it's they keep it close and then let the cards fall where they lie. That's always been their thing. Especially with how close games are, it just gets you a little suspicious. Like what? When comebacks are just a routine like thing, and fourth quarter just comes and goes, you're just like, what? Okay. Michael Faulkner, they're not going to get rid of teams. It's the only way to really get rid of tanking is a promotion relegation system, and North American sports isn't going to do that. Well, Don Borvio, as I said, the Kadri suspension I don't think was that major in 2021. I know he had a little bit, but 22 is the year everyone remembers because he was just... Rob Kelly retired. Yeah, Ryan Kelly had multiple concussions. You got to worry about your future. He's made a lot of money, especially in Indianapolis. One of the more underrated centers in football. It's a fucking shame. Mathis Preston's not a bad get, but it's Tankathon, so who knows? Maybe Gavin McKenna falls. He did a heinous act. He should fall. 22 spots and land with the Penguins. Intern Caleb, I think what happens is, You mean Intern Caleb, I think what happens is more wins would equal more lottery balls. I think that's what you're going to have to do here. So blatant tanking will give you just the general amount of balls, but perhaps they'll be removed, but you'll actually add more balls. You'll get more weight if you win after you're eliminated. I think that would probably be your compromise. Yep, Drew Dahlman retired. It's health, man. I mean, Shavarius Ward might do the same thing. So you got to be careful. American Loyalist 458. How likely is a Pittsburgh NBA team? Thank you for the support, man. Probably not. Problem is the NBA wants to expand west, so they're looking at potentially Seattle and Las Vegas, and like Memphis would move east, or Minnesota, but probably Memphis would be my best guess. But like the Pittsburgh has had so many teams just come and go within a year or two, and it's been a disaster. It's just not a basketball city. And it's not a four-sport city either. I think that's it. So we're just sitting around. We're chilling. Waiting around for this Nazem Kadri return. And I was about to end this stream because it was getting boring. Whew. Thank God Nazem Kadri happened. I mean, we at least have something to worry about now. Hold on here. I gotta reload the chat. Here's the thing. Are we bringing back the Vancouver Grizzlies? Only if we bring back Bryant Big Country Reeves. Otherwise, no such luck. Oh, Ryan Jack. Thoughts on MLS moving to summer, spring? They're trying to go on the same clock as the Premier League and other international leagues. I think that's what they're trying to do. I don't know if I agree with it, especially with winter time, especially come Pittsburgh or the northern cities. It gets pretty rough. So I don't know how they're going to deal with that, but who knows? Thanks, Trick Yachts. Have a good day, brother. Zach Mortimer, how's Sammy Gerard been? Relatively invisible so far, but it's only been 4 or 5 games. He has been, as I said, it's just been a weird stretch without Crosby. And also, you do it with the second-round pick. So, there is that. Neil Chaos, the Lilliengren return has been discussed. It's a 4th-round pick. 4th-round pick going to San Jose. Well, Sunoi, as I said, it's not just that. It's they're not looking for blue-collar cities because Pittsburgh doesn't have the upside. Why would the NBA want to expand to Pittsburgh, especially in a market that has shown that it cannot support a basketball team? Even in other leagues, like 1-2 years, they're gone. Why? Even in their heyday. No offense taken, Sunoi. But they're looking for upside. They're not looking for floor. That's why the NHL never moved to Quebec. Because Quebec has the floor, but they're looking for ceiling. Quebec doesn't have a ceiling. The ceiling is the floor. Brendan Othman going to Calgary. The Rangers, the Rangers have been trying to move on from Othman for a while. He's been a huge disappointment. He has not developed, and they're hoping for that change of pace. Yep, Othman, former first-round pick, he has just not done much. Had his moments, but this has not really been anything great, especially in a larger sample size. He just has not converted to the NHL game. His skills have not translated. So you're hoping Calgary at least gets something for him. You might get like a 5th or a 6th maybe. Not much. Maybe future considerations. But you're hoping on just his youth able to get there. But that's really about it. Well, Lily D, you're correct. The Rangers can't develop players for shit, but Othman is just the extreme scenario. $1.20, you have to remember with the Thrashers, Winnipeg was the only franchise or the only ownership group that was ready with an NHL caliber arena that was ready to get a team and move it. And there were two teams that had that issue. Atlanta, because the Atlanta Spirit was trying to sell, they didn't own their own arena, and the Coyotes, because the NHL had owned them for a bit. One of those teams was moving to Winnipeg, and it was the Thrashers. That was it. That is the only reason why there's a team in Winnipeg again. Yeah, Paradiggity, that's the problem. It's, if there was a chance for Quebec City to move, it would have been 10 years ago with, like, the Panthers or the Hurricanes, and that didn't happen. The Coyotes were never moving to Quebec City because they were staying out west. They weren't fucking with the conferences again. And Utah fits in the Central, so there's that. I always thought it would have been Houston, but Tillman Fertitta pulled out of hockey consideration. What's the music playing right now? I think this is from Thunder Force 4. Well, Cosmic Thrashers owner Atlanta Spirit treated the Thrashers like shit. That's the thing. Once Turner had that issue with AOL Time Warner, it they had to sell it and just got rid of it. Penguins legend Tanner Pearson. Yeah, he was he had his moments here, but he was replaceable. MLG coworker, I think the problem is both trades have issues. Logan Stanley is he's allergic to defense. He's just a big body. And Luke Shen is the classic big physical veteran defenseman. And Buffalo was paying a shitload for Parayko. You have to remember that. Brady Nunez, no, they did not move Kane. Kane is stuck there. Sorry. And a lot of talent coming from there, yep. So here's the problem. Milwaukee doesn't have an NHL caliber arena. They have the Bucks arena, but that's built purely for basketball. That is not a hockey arena. Otherwise you'd be moving in where the Milwaukee Admirals are, and that's not an NHL caliber arena. So that's the issue there. Hoffman in exchange for Battaglia. So underachieving prospect for another. One of those deals. Mason Simmons, I'm guessing the price was too good to refuse. That is my best guess. So I'm going to try and speculate on a deal that the Avalanche have. They don't have much in terms of prospects. They have a first rounder in 2028. That's probably going. Probably a second round pick. One of these two. So maybe both would end up going, especially since there's term and there may be a sort of return there. This is a little choppy. Give me 1 second here. My voice is getting a little dry. But, I mean, if you want a deal to at least, like, make it work, probably Logan O'Connor could be a piece, but you'd have to pay a lot more. You're not trading Malinsky. You're not trading the Woods. Taylor McCarr, maybe, but Ivan, I can see him going. But there's not much here. Definitely not much here. They've had to move on from a lot of prospects in the all-in window. So that's just how it goes. I have to look up Ivan. The legendary Ivan. The man, the myth, the legend. Yeah, you're not trading for Baraboulet. Like, these guys are just, like, AHL vets. Sean Barons. Ivan, McCarr. There's nobody really here. Nikita Prischapov, Sage Weinstein? No. Yeah, it's probably draft picks. There's no other way it could be explaining. Kent Hughes, no other trades for the Habs. Correct. Habs press conference is on. Most underrated move this deadline for me. Ooh, good question, man. I would probably say Brady, my most underrated move. I would probably have to say... So I'm trying to look them all up. I would probably say Connor Garland to Columbus. I think he'd be a pretty good middle six forward. You didn't pay a ton for him. Multi-year deal. I think it's a good buy for a team that's looking to be a little bit more. I would say him. I would probably say Bunting for a third. I think he'll fit in nicely in Dallas' system, like in that sort of Mason Marchment sort of role. I would probably Nick Dowd to Vegas. He's a damn good bottom sixer. I think he would definitely help out there. I would probably say, who else would be? Nick Blankenberg. He did really good analytically on third pairing minutes. I think he'll be great depth for the Avs. And then I would probably say, well, everyone knows Panarin. So it would probably be those trades. Those would be the ones. Well, Paradiggity, Patrick Laine's issue is he is always hurt. That's why they could never find a deal for Patrick Laine. And it just... And it's a damn shame because Laine was an incredible talent, especially coming out of the draft. But the issue is he's always hurt. And especially in Montreal, it just has not worked out. I know they were Columbus was looking to keep him, but he's only played 5 games this year. He's played 57. He hasn't played a full season in 3 years. He has played 75 games in the last 3 years. He hasn't played a full 60-game season since pre-COVID. So that's the problem. And this one is issues, but over the past 5 years, he's just been banged up injury, and it's just killed him. It's a damn shame because, once again, Patrick Laine, hell of a player back then, especially here. Phenomenal talent. Outstanding first-line winger, and now it's just slowly fading. It's a shame. That back real quick. I'm trying to find this return. Yep, other Twig goes they are. Paradiggity, here's the thing. It's, once again, is he healthy? Because he hasn't really been healthy. And Mexico defeated Britain. Well, we're going to see more luchadors, kids. More luchadors in the way. Anime Cowboy, Mark Stone has more of a track record. He offers more value. And especially with the style he plays, it's a lot like Tim Kerr back in the 80s with the Flyers. Very net front, physical presence, and his body just breaks down on him. That's what happened with Tim Kerr. It'll probably happen with Mark Stone. I mean, he's constantly in the shop because, just the game he plays. The body can only take so much before it breaks down on you. Josh Van, Juracek, the problem with Juracek is that they would have wanted an NHL-ready middle six forward. They would have wanted Rucker McGroarty for him. And I don't know if I would be willing to pay that price. Because Bobby Brink is kind of like a McGroarty. You might have needed more than McGroarty. So that's why they didn't trade Juracek. Although, knowing Philly, it's just how it goes. Ooh, not a Shin YouTube plosion. No, that's Shin Typhlosion. Sorry, it's weird to get that sort of thing there. Okay, what trade didn't happen? Do you think will become a what if in the future? Like any goalie to Montreal, any goalie to Vegas. That's a what if. I'd say that. I would probably say. I mean, it would have been Kadri if he wasn't traded. I would say also Vinny Trocheck. He'd be a what if. Yeah, Sean Gosgrove. Bobby Brink is talented, but that's why they were able to willing to let him go, because Philly wants size. Bobby Brink does not have size. But we've seen players recently, size doesn't really matter as much as it did in the NHL. Alex DeBrinket's 5'9", and he's insanely talented. Ivar Stenberg, one of the top prospects in this draft, I believe is 5'7" or 5'8". He is not tall. I think that's that. Oh, SD, I would love Mishkov to Pittsburgh. Yeah, I will be jumping for joy when we get Matvei Mishkov. So Luke Shen has played for 10 teams. It would have been 11 if he agreed to play for the Penguins. Just saying. And only Mike Sillinger has played for more teams. And that's 12. Who would have thought that Luke Shen would be like the Pack Your Bags Club member? Funny. And Toby Warren for 10 pounds. Thank you for the support, brother. Appreciate you. Hey, Treat. Big fan of your work. Thank you, brother. Love you, my man. I'm going to the Rockies for my honeymoon in a couple of weeks, hoping to see the Oilers whilst there. Any recommendations on what site to use other than Ticketmaster? Oh, simple, my friend. Got to use the power of SeatGeek. I know exactly what you were going for, man, and I appreciate it, my man. Use the power of SeatGeek. Use code TREAT. Save $20 off your first purchase. Boom. Layup right there, and I totally did not plant that, I swear to God. Whoop. With sound effects and all that. Power SeatGeek, the sponsor. Actually, it's not the sponsor of the stream. That's on the love. No, $1.20. It's not the Matt Stairs of hockey. The Octavio Dotel of hockey. The Edwin Jackson of hockey. Oh, the Manny. Oh, I was so lucky I got gas a week ago. Now it's jumped about 50 cents here. Bro, where do you live? I live in the corners of your imagination. Okay, sure. Well, $1.20 chicken tendies. I was never sponsored when it was 20% off, but here's the problem. When it was like $500, it's just how it goes. I am a human. I am a human man. I see you, Toby. I see you, man. Noopsy plays might as well be. Fleury definitely didn't relax. Oh, Theo Fleury was just a physical ball of energy. I mean, unfortunately, a lot of that was also due to reasons out of the hockey arena. I mean, fuck Graham James, by the way. But there was also that. Him and Sheldon Kennedy. It's kind of a shame. Tree lives in Treeland, Imagination, Pennsylvania. Yep. I live in Los Angeles, in Carson City. Well, Tropical Ruby, I think they did retain salary. Probably 10 to 20%. Not much. But probably to get a better value. Anime Cowboy, I've been thinking about a hybrid for my next car. Not because of, like, the environmental issues, but I feel like it's more efficient. I know a couple people have Chevy Bolts, and they love the car. They love just the gas mileage, the battery, everything along those lines. So if we could get that, might be okay. Well, the Manny, as I said, I've actually been using a lot of Upside ever since it was sponsored by them. Because I go to a supermarket that already has it, I get 3% off. Makes it easy. So I've been using that for certain things, gas, groceries. So I was sponsored by them a while ago, and as I said, I've been using them. I've been religious on them too. And I've been translating it to Amazon. So there's that. See, I'm not just a paid shill. I use the product. I use the products. I use DraftKings too. Beautiful. Kingfisher with Leafs Legacy of Failure. I need to do Canucks first, man. Need to do Canucks first. All right. Well, let's get this return. Tropical Groovy Smooth with the Hurricanes. Raleigh! It's tough to do that voice, man. Every time I have to do like a full line of it, it fucking shreds me. And if the Hurricanes ever make the cup, my voice is going to be dead for weeks. Whew. I am trying to find this return. That is all I'm trying to find with this Kadri deal. So Engels is saying Ken Hughes Habs went down to the wire on a deal that didn't get consummated today, but could be done this summer. So probably Patrick Laine. with Engels is saying. Did say it would have been a big deal. So, okay. That's probably a summertime deal. So the Habs had something going, they just couldn't beat the buzzer. There is that. Trying to find what else here. Yeah, Greer's also denying the Andre Nemec rumors too, so there is that. But otherwise, not much there. 20% retention on Kadri? Okay, that's what I figured. Yeah, the Rags definitely did something. Well, Manny, I haven't used I haven't saved 800. I've saved about like 300, 350. Oh, line A is the end of free agent. Oh, Thomas Scott. That does make sense. So they have a lot of forward prospects they could ship off from. So there is that. Probably Reinbacher plus. That would probably be my best guess for Thomas. So it's the Avs 2028 first. Calgary retains 20%. Okay. That's what I figured. It would have been a first. I thought they would have gotten a second too, but as I said, it would have been 10 to 20% retention and a first second. There just wasn't much otherwise. So there is that. Well, I think Othman apparently is for underachieving prospect. So it is that. Ooh, Buffalo, bad news. Yuri Kulich is out for the rest of the season with a blood clot. That fucking sucks. Owen Beck. Okay. Owen Beck, is he part of the return for Othman? Or is that for somebody else? Give me one second. Okay, Owen Beck. Yep, this is the guy they're probably trading. Pushelnikov, yep, he's a prospect. But, you're going to try to convince him to come back from America. That's what you're trying to shoot for. Or come to America, I should say. Because right now, in Russia. In Ruski land. But yeah, if you're Rothman, you're not getting much. You're not getting much Rothman at all. Fuck them picks. Surprise, surprise. Oh, second wildcard. You never know, man. I'm not saying James Cook. Everyone said that about the Panthers against the Bruins. Against the Blue Jackets against the Lightning. You never know with the playoffs, baby. Jacob Battaglia. Okay, that's what I figured. Well, Sunoi, I think they're just trying to get rid of the contract. I think that's what it is. Yep, one final Rangers trade. Ryan Kelly has retired due to the concussions. And he was wearing the concussion helmet, too, which is a fucking shame. Here's the fantastic news also. Toronto acquired Scott Lawton for a first-round pick and Nikita Grabenkin. And with as many points as Lawton, Toronto got a third-round pick back. Masterclass. God, I love Toronto. Pure tree living, man. It's a tree living kind of deal. And wait till they trade Brendan Carlo. When that happens, oh, dude, it's going to be a bloodbath. Because they gave up a potential top 10 pick and Fraser Minton. Like, those trades have been disasters for Toronto. Oof. Justin Turley, Nazem Kadri with Colorado. Wow, yep. Nazem Kadri to Colorado. In fact, I think I have a Photoshop of Nazem Kadri with the Avalanche. Hold on. Look at all these images, man. Nazem Kadri with the Avalanche. I found him. Photoshop. This is him from 26. Get out of here. Nazem Kadri in so many uniforms. These are some tremendous Photoshops. Photoshops are phenomenal, man. Phenomenal work on the Photoshops. Good job, my friends. Good job. But apparently it's 20% retention and a first in 2028. So that's what I figured. The 2028 first was going to be in play. And that's it. And Evo Anime, what do you think of the Sabres? They look pretty good, man. They look pretty damn good. I'm going to refresh the page. I did refresh the page. And I wasn't able to refresh the page. So Jacob Battaglia is confirmed. That is that. Well, Paradiggity, here's the thing. Nazem Kadri's in his mid-30s. You can't guarantee he's going to keep up his production. Sears Home Services. Wow. Here's the thing, man. Manny, that's actually a CIA truck, so I would stay away from there. Unless you want to be just kidnapped and taken to the middle of nowhere. So I would do that. Hey, Augie, that's some fine AI. Some fine AI and photoshopping right there, man. I was told by learned hockey men that Kadri was never going to win the cup. Hey, a lot of Canadians said he would never win the cup. I agree. Okay, Broly, I think Ovi goes back to Russia. Ovi's definitely going back to Russia. I don't see otherwise. But Evo Maname, I think the Sabres could go far. I'm not crazy about getting Logan Stanley. He's kind of a mess defensively. I would have just kept Connor Clifton in that regard, but yeah, it is what it is. Could Colton be heading back to the Flames? Maybe. As I've heard Ross Colton, potentially, just to make the cap hits work. But we'll need to see what happens there. Colorado did free up a lot of space by tacking on a second-round pick to Sam Girard to be able to make this kind of deal happen. Yeah, buddy. Lawton, Reichel, Kampf. So we'll go over the main deals in the meantime, though. Brendan Othman is apparently going for Jacob Battaglia. And Jacob Battaglia, he's had a down year. He had a big year in 25, but the injuries have kind of hit him. He hasn't been the same. It's definitely a wait-and-see sort of candidate, and maybe they'll sign him and hopefully get something there. Nazem Kadri has been traded from the Avalanche to the Flames, and he is apparently going with 20% retention from Calgary for a first-round pick in 2028. No sure if it's conditional or not. The Winnipeg Jets trading a 7th-round pick for Tanner Pearson. Scott Lawton going for a conditional 3rd-round pick. Lucas Reichel going for a 6th. David Kampf going for a 6th. Ryan Strome going for a 7th. These are just like depth pieces and bodies just to get something at the buzzer. Justin Falk in a big return for Justin Holt, Dmitry Bushelnikov from Russia. A 2026 first and a 2026 third. Falk under contract for another year. Derek Pouliot for Aiden Thompson. I still can't believe Derek Pouliot's still in an NHL roster or an NHL contract. Braden Shen, the big piece there, going for Jonathan Drouin, Marcus Gidloff, a conditional 1st and 3rd. Shen under contract for 3 more years in his mid-30s. Elmer Soderblom in a buy low candidate from Detroit for a 3rd-round pick. Timothy Liljegren going to Washington to replace John Carlson for a 4th. Nick Delorier for a conditional 7th, just as depth. Vinny Hinostroza for future considerations for depth. Corey Perry going back to Tampa Bay for the Corey Perry Invitational for a 2028 2nd-round pick. Nick Foligno for future considerations. Morris just a solid for Foligno. And a low minor league trade. Brett Harrison and Jackson Edward for Alexis Gendron and Massimo Rizzo. David Juracek is going for Bobby Brink. Bobby Brink with a wing log jam in Philadelphia. David Juracek in return. The big trades, though, were last night. Luke Shen and Logan Stanley going to Buffalo, same as Sam Carrick. for Jacob Bryson, Isaac Rosen, 2nd, 4th, 3rd, and 6th. And John Carlson, the biggest trade, the end of an era, for a conditional 2026 first if they make the playoffs, and a 3rd round pick. But that's going to do it. Yep, it's updated for Battaglia. But got future considerations was a very phenomenal. Gun for Gaming. If you're a Flames fan, you're actually admitting to a rebuild, so I respect that. The only thing is you'd probably be trading Blake Coleman in the offseason. You're not getting rid of Huberdeau, so you're going to have to bite that bullet. But otherwise, I think you're finally doing what you need to do. The overhaul did not work, and you have to start rebuilding. You are hoping for a certain Gavin McKenna or Ivar Stenberg or Keaton Vorhelf. Conrad 5663. What are my thoughts on the Leafs having to sell? Here's the thing, like, they're a mess this year, and they're going to have to start selling more. Because I don't see a way forward with their limited prospect system. Their high-end talent starting to age out. Tavares is going to... I don't know how long Tavares has left before he starts running out of gas. You have depth, but you don't have any real grit, tenacity, intangibles. You have the ideas of them, but not much. You hope Joseph Wool finally finds fire, but he's hit or miss. Hildeby, same thing. Stolars, he ran out of gas, and it's just how it is. Puckdoku? Yeah, I'll do a little Puckdoku before we leave. I'll do that as the last thing. And who's Tanner Pearson? Former LA Kings Stanley Cup champion, baby. And Ian Gaw for 5. Kind of like the Reichel move for Boston. Good buy low on a former first rounder that Vancouver gave up a 4th for. Yeah, it's and I said it's that's more damning on Vancouver than anything. But no, let's do a little Puckdoku. We'll do some Puckdoku before we leave. So, here is our list. Toronto, Buffalo, LA, with 2 teams played. I'll leave this up here so you can kind of see. Actually, you know what? Let me remove my ugly mug. Actually, I'll keep the ugly mug there. Why not? Screw it. Maybe 1 second here. There we go. Now you can see. Let's do this. Boom. 2+ teams played in the season, 500+ penalty minutes, and 300+ games. Oh, dude. This is just like shooting fish in a barrel, my man. You could just pick whoever you want. Let's go Rick Jackman, the legend himself, Rick Jackman. Buffalo Sabres. We will roll with, so many different pieces you can choose from here. Let's go with anyone who's been traded pretty much can be this. Let's roll with anyone who was on waivers, anyone who's ever been moved per se. We will roll with Bob Airy. Boom. Kings. 2+ teams played in the season. Shit. Anyone who was on waivers, anyone who was in that sort of move, trade, understand. We'll roll with shit. I'm trying to think of his name. There are a couple waiver claims I can think of there, but I'm trying. Let's roll with Tobias Reeder. Boom. 500+ penalty minutes. Pretty much any goon. Let's go Jay Miller. If it'll let me load. Definitely at 500+ penalty minutes. 500+ penalty minutes for Buffalo. Ooh. Craig Muni. Boom. 500+ penalty minutes for... I could have said Craig Muni. But it's... I will roll with... Ken Baumgartner. And 300+ games played. Kent Manderville. Let's roll with Buffalo. 300+ games played. As I said, just any run-of-the-mill veteran. Or anyone along those lines that played at least a couple, 4 or 5 seasons. I think you're in good hands. Let's roll with Wayne Presley. And then with the Kings. 300+ games played. Mikko Makela. Boom. Why did I get the game over music? Okay, now I got the pizza music. I think this is a good way to end the stream. Oh boy. Yeah, I have a problem. That was an easy one though. Let's be real, man. So the Kadri trade deal is official. Let's look over this real quick. Calgary has retained 20% of his salary. Understand, that's what I figured. 10 to 20% retention to make it work. But what is the return? That's the real question. And then we can finally put a mercy kill to the stream. Yep, here it is. So, this is from Elliot Friedman. Nazem Kadri and a 4th round pick are going to Colorado for their first in 2028, one of their second rounders in 27, Victor Olofsson, Max Curran, and 20% retention. So, Victor Olofsson hasn't really done all that much here. It actually jumped me joy because you get to keep. Yeah, you're keeping Ross Colton. Olofsson isn't bad, but once again, he's excess goods. They'll move him, he'll go to Calgary, and then he'll just take care of that there. Max Curran is just, he's a prospect. He's done alright so far. He'll probably be signed by Calgary, but I think that's Brian Curran's kid. Or like a hockey player's kid, because he seems like he's North American. I want to say Brian Curran? I'm not entirely sure. But there is your return, and that, I believe, should end this NHL stream. Justin Turley, one more before the buzzer. Just had to watch your Nazem Kadri rent-free video, especially for the Blues. Oh, they're having a bad year, man. Bad year. Yep, LeBrun and Friedman has posted the returns. Puckpedia the contracts. Yes, sir. I will do that right now. Let me reload this real quick. Do they have Kadri up? No. But Olofsson has a cheap deal. And Calgary with 20% retention. Nazem Kadri is going to be at, I believe, $5.6 million for the next, because it's a $1.4 million retention. Because 10%, $700K. So, $5.6 million for the next 3 years. That's reasonable for a Nazem Kadri. That's what I figured. It would probably eat a little bit to get a higher deal. And Colorado is giving up their first and one of these second-round picks. So, it's probably take your pick of Colorado or Minnesota. Probably Minnesota. But they've kind of run out of draft pick value, per se. But I think they would rather have Nazem Kadri, especially when trying to compete for cups in this window. When you have prime McKinnon, you have prime Nichushkin, you have prime Cale Makar and Devon Taves. It's, you do what you can. You do what you can. Yep, it's updated now. They did update it. I would say good bit of business for Colorado. Ooh, Lucky Duck 89. Was it the Mexico-Great Britain game? Ooh, interesting, man. What did I miss? You missed Nazem Kadri going back to Colorado and Braden Shen going to the Islanders. Not much else there. But that would be my best guess. As I said, it was very slow. I nearly shut it off a half hour ago, but Nazem Kadri got traded. And I'm like, oh, thank God. Thank fucking God. How would I rate the Red Wings trade deadline moves? They paid too much for Justin Falk. That's my honest belief. But as I said, they wanted a right-hand shot. They were hoping for Carlson. Couldn't really get him. But they more or less do that. And then with one more from Beast of Metal. Malkin wasn't offered an in-person hearing, so suspension is 5 games max. Still not great timing to lose his mind. As I said, that was not fun. Bad move by Gino. It's like him and the full moon. It comes out once a month, and it's not fun. Wait, Oscar Olsson? Okay, they changed it. It is Victor. They got the wrong Olsson. And they are conditional 2028 first and 2027 second round picks. Because if it were Oscar Olsson, I don't know if it would have worked. Yeah, Oscar Olsson's no longer on the Avalanche. Like, he was a dud. But otherwise, guys, I think that will end my stream for the day. Guys, thank you for joining me on the trade deadline stream. But it's just how that is. It was a deadline. As I said, biggest move was John Carlson, end of an era. But once again, most of your moves were made earlier. But otherwise, guys, have yourselves a great day. Do not crash out like Gino. If you do, I'll hunt you down and I'll kill you. Thanks for joining me, guys. Take care.